Ohio Stadium on the campus of the Ohio State University in Columbus. It's Ohio State football. Today, the Buckeyes of Ohio State meet the Michigan Wolverines. Hello, everybody. I'm Jack Kramer along with Jeff Logan. It's a wet, windy day in Columbus as we're set to bring you the annual clash between the scarlet and gray of Ohio State and the maize and blue of Michigan. A trip to the Rose Bowl is not at stake for the Buckeyes today, but that hardly takes the luster off this game. They'd like nothing better than to knock off the conference champion Wolverines, who will be in Pasadena on January 1. A lot of pride on the line for Michigan as well. They know how difficult it would be to live down a pre-Rose Bowl loss to the Bucks. As a class matchup today, Jeff, some of the best players in the country at their positions on the field, Gary Williams and Anthony Carter for starters.
Well, Jack, I think that if you looked around the country, you'd be very hard-pressed to find the number of skilled athletes that are going to be on the field today, the best of which may very well be Gary Williams and Anthony Carter, both receivers for their respective teams. Both are big playmakers, but Anthony Carter, a guy who can change the course of a football game more so than any guy that's ever played the game.
And the quarterbacks will be dealing the ball off a lot today to a pair of 46s.
Well, Tim Spencer and Lawrence Ricks, as you mentioned, both wearing number 46 today, are going to be the key to the offensive roles for Ohio State and Michigan. They have to substantiate that running game, get it going, and be successful in running that ball at those defenses.
Buckeyes have the edge in this series over the last 31 years. In fact, Earl Bruce has beaten Michigan 2 of the last 3. The teams are on the field, and we're set for the kickoff of today's big clash between Ohio State and Michigan. We are just seconds away from the start of the game, which pits perhaps the 2 greatest college football rivals, Ohio State and Michigan. The Buckeyes riding the crest of a 5-game win streak, and the Wolverines a 7-game streak. Meeting number 79, the rivalry dates all the way back to 1897. Jeff, it's a wet turf here at Columbus today.
Well, Jack, the weather is here. We need to deal with it a little bit. It's going to rain and be wet for Michigan as it is for Ohio State today. But I think rain and weather conditions can be the great equalizer.
Your officials today: referee Tom Quinn, umpire Frank Strosha, head linesman Ed Marisich, line judge L.T. Bonner, field judge Larry Nemmers, back judge Mike Nevin.
Jack, getting back to the weather just quickly, it would have to favor the running game because they will probably want to keep the ball on the ground a little bit more. But as far as the passing game goes, I think it favors the receivers. They know where they're going. The defensive backs have to be somewhat tentative in their coverage of the receivers. So watch out for big plays from Gary Williams and Anthony Carter.
Spangler kicks off with the wind. It's Carter 5 yards deep. He will not return it. And the Wolverines will open the game 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line.
That's the way to defense Anthony Carter as you look at the offensive line. Rich Stringer, Jerry DiOrio, Tom Dixon, Stephen Humphreys, and Doug James. The receivers, Craig Dunaway's the tight end, Vince Bean the split end, and the flanker All-American Anthony Carter. The quarterback is Steve Smith, fullback, Dan Rice, a freshman, and Lawrence Ricks, the tailback, the leading rusher in the Big Ten.
The Wolverines out of the I formation. Carter in motion. Smith to the 25.
There, we'll put the names with the numbers on defense. For the Buckeyes at the down positions, Jerome Foster, Spencer Nelms, and Chris Ream. The linebackers, Kurt Curtis, Roland Tatum, Glenn Cobb, and Marcus Merrick. And the crack defensive backs of Garcia Lane, Sean Gale, Doug Hill, and Kelvin Bell.
2nd down 5 for Michigan at their own 25. Second play of the game. This is Ricks. Nowhere to go. He's buried at the 25 for Glenn Cobb. Sean Gale assisted. 3rd down and 5 for the Wolverine offense.
That's the Michigan version of the Ohio State counterplay. That time Lawrence Ricks coming back to the backside, and Glenn Cobb just put a lick on him that Lawrence Ricks will remember throughout this ball game and probably early into tomorrow morning.
Buckeye defense giving up only 3.7 yards against the rush. Split backs. Carter catches it at the 31 and backpedals to the 35. 1st down. Glenn Cobb on the coverage.
First new look for Michigan today, Jack. Anthony Carter's lined up as a running back. Number 1 coming out of the backfield. He's their wide receiver. No question here. They're going directly to Anthony Carter. Finds room in the zone, and the Ohio State linebacker's forced to cover Anthony Carter. Now he's back out the split end position.
3 receptions last week, 32 now on the year for Carter. 1st and 10, Michigan, 35-yard line. This is Ricks, outside left tackle for about 6. Chris Ream and Marcus Merrick tackled Ricks. 2nd down 4 for the Wolverines.
Jack, one of the remarkable things in this football game for both Ohio State and Michigan is that they're nearly fielding the entire starting team that they started the 82 season with. Injuries have not been a factor, and I think that has a lot to do with the conditioning programs of both schools.
Both teams are the healthiest they've been all year. Smith pass is no good across the 50. A trio of Buckeyes around Carter, led by Doug Hill. Marcus Merrick was there, and it's 3rd and 4.
Doug Hill and Roland Tatum that time, the responsibility of covering Anthony Carter man-to-man, coming across the middle. We're going to get isolation coverage on Carter, who is in motion, and you're going to see number 36, Marcus Merrick there. Doug Hill, 27. They're covering Anthony Carter like a coat of paint.
Wide out to the left and right. Smith firing. It is caught, but the fullback Rice is tackled at the 46. Roland Tatum on the hit. It's a 1st down, Wolverines.
Well, Dan Rice has been the favorite receiver out of the backfield for Michigan. He's a freshman. Becomes his 8th reception on the year, and he scored a touchdown via the pass from Steve Smith, the quarterback.
1st down, Michigan 46-yard line. Play action, Michigan. Carter to the 38 of Ohio State, perhaps the 37. Garcia Lane covered him, but it's another 1st down, Wolverines.
The way to defend Anthony Carter, Jack, is to be able to beat him with the line of scrimmage. You've got to be physical with him. This time, Anthony Carter was given a little bit of room by number 12, Garcia Lane. Watch the isolation. Nobody is there to contact Anthony Carter the first 15 yards into the pattern. If you allow Anthony Carter to do that, he's going to beat you all day.
Carter caught 4 against the Bucks last year. Already has 2 in the opening 2.5 minutes. Straight ahead Rice. A quick 8 yards. Glenn Cobb tripped him up. Second down, a short 3 for Michigan. We've played 3 minutes. Bo Schembechler, his 13th year at the helm of the Wolverines. This is Ricks, a big hole over right guard and right tackle. Merrick on the hit. Another 1st down for the Maize and Blue. Kelvin Bell was also there. Lawrence Ricks and Tim Spencer, easily the top 2 running backs in the Big Ten. Earl Bruce's Charges have their backs to the wall now as the Wolverines have it 1st and 10 at the 20. Negotiated a turn for about 9 more. Kelvin Bell up to greet him. Marcus Merrick helped Kelvin.
Well, in its first series, Michigan moving with remarkable ease against the Ohio State defense. only mixing in 3 passes in this drive that started at the 20-yard line. This time they're faking the wingback reverse. Anthony Carter was coming around and handoff to Lawrence Ricks, who goes untouched until he gets into the Ohio State secondary. Michigan doing a good job, Jack, of controlling the line of scrimmage. That's where this game is won and lost.
Second down, a short one. Ricks veered it back to the left. Picked up a couple. Jerome Foster sandwiched him to the turf. But it's a goal-to-go situation now for the Wolverines. First and goal at the Buckeyes 8. Sim Nelson and Craig Dunaway are both in now as the Wolverines employ double tight ends. Carter split 9 yards to the left. There's a fumble. Buckeyes have it. As Michigan coughed it up for only the 9th time this year, Kurt Curtis comes off the pile with the football.
Kurt Curtis, number 11, first big play of the day for the Buckeyes. You're going to see that the inception, Steve Smith never got the snap from center Tom Dixon, and now it becomes who's got the hot potato, and Kurt Curtis, number 11, in there for the Buckeyes in the right place at the right time. Well, we saw Steve Smith a year ago, Jack. Great frustration against the Buckeyes, did not have a good game. That time he pulled away from the center too early.
Only turnover number 19 for the Wolverines on the season. Spencer through a crack up the middle for about 4. Mike Boren from his inside linebacking post tackled Spencer.
Get a look at the starting lineup for the Buckeyes. Offensive line, Bill Roberts, Scott Zelensky, Craig Pack, Joe Lukens, and Jim Carson. The receivers, John Frank, Gary Williams, and Cedric Anderson. And the running backs, Von Brodnax, Tim Spencer. The quarterback is Mike Tomczak.
Second down, 6 for Ohio State as Spencer, who is number 9 in the country in rushing, bolted for 4 on the Buckeyes' first play from scrimmage. We have a wet football. 9:45 left in the opening stanza. No score. The Wolverines held it for 5 minutes and then coughed it up. Gary Williams tight on the left side. As Spencer finds a seam over left guard and comes up about 2.5 yards short of the first down. Carlton Rose grabbed him.
Here's the Michigan defense, Jack. Caraway, Sinsich, and Kevin Brooks are the down men. Linebackers, and it's a good crew. Robert Thompson, Carlton Rose, Paul Giergash, and Mike Bourne, the latter two from Ohio. Defensive secondary, Keith Bostic, Marion Body, Jerry Burguy, and Yvonne Cooper, or Evan, however you want to say it.
Third down, a long 2 for Ohio State. Williams in motion across the formation. It's Spencer negotiating the corner. First down. Cooper bumped him out of bounds. 1st and 10, Ohio State.
How about those kind of stats? 1,200 yards rushing this season for Tim Spencer. That play was designed to go up inside as Joe Lukens pulled, but Tim Spencer with great anticipation gets outside and uses that 4.3 40 speed and just barely makes the first down by a yard.
From the 22, 1st and 10, Ohio State. 8:48 to go, first period. This is Gale. He was slowed about 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Carlton Rose wrapped him up. Loss of maybe a half a yard. Mike Boren and Paul Giergash were there with Rose. Jimmy Gale, one of 23 Buckeye seniors. Second down and 10 for Ohio State. Tomczak firing. Intended for Frank. It was almost picked off on the play by Marion Body.
Good coverage that time. Tom Zach last week against Northwestern, 12 out of 20. Over 200 yards passing and 1 touchdown.
Tom Zach is 41 for his last 62.
Boy, what a turnaround that guy has made. You can almost split the Ohio State season in 2 this year because the emergence of Mike Tomczak has made that season really come around. Big play here.
3rd and 10. Williams and Anderson split left. Tomczak with time. Over the head of Frank at the 35. Robert Thompson was pursuing Frank as Tomczak and Frank misconnect. And it's 4th and 10 for the Bucks. Nope. Anthony Carter retreats to accept the punt.
About to say, Jack, this is one of Michigan's favorite offensive plays, is the punt to Anthony Carter, leading the country in punt returns. There's Carl Edwards' stats, averaging 39 yards a kick in 1982. Michigan's got 10 men at the line of scrimmage. They're coming with the block.
Wolverines have blocked 1 kick this year. Edwards with the wind. It hits in front of Carter, and then the ball splashes out of bounds at the 48, so the Wolverines have good field position. 1st and 10 at their own 48. 7:54 left in the first quarter. Ohio State nothing, Michigan nothing. Edwards' kick traveled 31 yards. So the Wolverines, following a series apiece, have the better of it. 2 yards shy of midfield. This is Rice stumbling over right guard for a couple. Jerome Foster was in his way, as was Spencer Nelms. Mr. Rice has rushed 32 times for 127 yards on the year. Wolverine offense, like the Buckeyes, averaging well over 30 points a game the last 5 weeks. Buckeye defense has been a little more vulnerable against the pass than the run. 2nd down 8. Carter in motion behind Smith, who keeps it. And he rambles all the way to the 32 or 3 yard line. Chris Ream finally caught up with him. Spencer Nelms was there. As the Buckeyes were deceived a little bit, they were looking maybe for the pitch to go to Carter.
Well, it shows you how much Anthony Carter means to that defense, because there were 4 or 5 Ohio State players that were taking the pitch. Somebody forgot the responsibility of taking the quarterback, and look at the seam that develops there as Steve Smith just runs right through that seam and has a big pickup. Steve Smith will hurt you more running the ball, Jack, than he will passing the football.
He's now rushed for 300 yards on the year. Ricks bobbled the handoff, managed to clutch it and pick up about 7 yards on the play. Jerome Foster brought him to the turf. Marcus Merrick helped 2-time him. 2nd down and a long 3 for the Wolverines, just outside the Ohio State 25-yard line. Buckeyes have given up 369 a game defensively. They've got to stiffen right here. Smith still has it, and he twisted forward for a couple near the 1st down stake. Glenn Cobb strapped his arms around him. Appears to be about a half a yard short.
That's the way to cover the option. Each player has his own responsibility. That time, linebacker Glenn Cobb, number 35, his key was on quarterback Steve Smith. Playing very disciplined football, not taking any kind of fake there. Came up and made the tackle on the QB. 3rd and short.
Loudermilk is in now for Gale as the Buckeye defense has a little more bulk to it. 3rd and a short one. It's Ricks. He was met head-on by Marcus Merrick, but his forward progress got him the 1st down. Jerome Foster gets credit for an assist on the play, but it's a 1st and 10 for the Wolverines at the Ohio State 21-yard line. 5:34 left, opening period. Ohio State nothing, Michigan nothing. The skies were spitting rain until about an hour and a half before kickoff. Perhaps there's some mist in the air still. It's a wet field here at Ohio Stadium. 1st and 10 Wolverines. This is Ricks cutting back against the flow to the left. And he's got about 7 more. Spencer Nelms and Kurt Curtis on the tackle, as Lawrence Ricks has shown his great burst straight ahead today.
Jack, what makes that play so very successful is that the interior offensive line of Humphreys, Dixon, and DiOrio are doing a great job of controlling the middle guard. As you look at the series between Ohio State and Michigan, kind of watch that middle guard play.
2nd down, 3. Wolverines must reach the 11. It's Ricks again. Nothing doing. Roland Tatum throws into the turf. Down coming up now for the Michigan offense.
That's just about the best welcome I could ever see to Ohio Stadium for Lawrence Ricks. Watch number 32, Roland Tatum, stand him up and throw him down. A page out of big-time wrestling. What a big player Roland Tatum has been. 62 tackles on the year. He's also had 7 tackles for a loss and 2 quarterback sacks.
3rd and 3. Buckeye defense stiffened on the last play. It's Ricks to the near side, 1st down to the 6-yard line. As Ricks carried it to just outside the 5 on the draw play. Lane on the tackle.
Ohio State looking for the ball to go to the air. Steve Smith does a good job of hiding the football. Lawrence Ricks on the delayed sprint draw, able to hit the seam, and Garcia Lane, number 12, making the tackle. Michigan now 4 out of 4 on 3rd downs, Jack.
Just outside the 5, 1st and goal for the Wolverines. 3:42 to go, 1st quarter, no score. Smith barks out the signals. It's the money man, Ricks, to the 2. Marcus Merrick upended him. Glenn Cobb was also in Ricks' path. Chris Ream off the pile.
Michigan continuing to dominate the inside line. That time, Spencer Nelms, the middle guard for the Buckeyes, was just thrown to his back by Jerry DiOrio, the right guard, number 64.
Keep in mind, the Wolverines graduated 3 of the best linemen in the country last year on that offense. Becker, Moransky, and Bubba Paris. And they're moving the Buckeyes out here in the early going. 2nd down and goal. This is Ricks. He hits a stone wall at the 1-foot line. Jerome Foster hit him helmet high.
Tackled by Jerome Foster and Marcus Merrick.
Earl Bruce's Buckeyes have their backs to the wall. 3rd down at the 1. 3rd and goal, Michigan. Pitch out to Ricks. He'll wolf into the end zone. Touchdown for the Wolverines.
Buckeyes on a blitz that time. Sean Gale, number 2, coming hard, top of your screen. Watch the lick that he puts on Steve Smith. Hello, he goes out of it, but Lawrence Ricks, there's nobody there to stop him because Ohio State caught in the blitz. Gambling somewhat that Michigan would try and run inside, came with the option instead, and pitched to Lawrence Ricks for the first score of the game. Michigan leads at Jack 6-0.
That was Ricks' 8th TD rushing this year, number 8 for Ricks. Ali Haji Sheikh on the point after. He hasn't missed in 72 tries. Make it 73 in a row. And with 2:11 left in the opening period, it's Michigan 7 and Ohio State nothing, as the Wolverines have dominated the first 13 minutes of this football game. Steve Smith left the field after the touchdown, nursing a sore arm. We'll see how that affects him the rest of the way today.
Look at the touchdown run again by Lawrence Ricks. Sean Gale, the cornerback for the Buckeyes, coming up. He's got one thing in mind, put a lick on that quarterback, and there should have been an Ohio State football player out to cover the pitch. Ohio State flat out beaten on the play as you look at the kicking unit for Michigan. Haji Sheik, number 6, the kicker. Jack, I don't think there's any real surprise that Michigan is going to be able to and has been able to as you look at head coach Bo Schembechler and his record against Ohio State. They have been able to move the football against most teams this year, and they're going to move the ball against Ohio State. Ohio State also, I think, has great confidence in the fact that they will be able to move the ball against this Michigan defense. The statistics on the two teams offensively very, very close. Ohio State number 7 in the nation in total offense, while Michigan is number 16 in total offense in the nation. Ohio State needs to get field position. Hopefully they can do so here on the kickoff.
Haji Sheik will be kicking off against the wind when play resumes. Buckeyes have 2 back at the goal line. Timmy Spencer on the near side.
Get some idea of how wet that field really is. The rain is now coming down again about as hard as it was at the about an hour before the football game, and you can see the puddles beginning to form on the other sides of each hash mark where the field slopes down.
Unfortunately, Jeff, Michigan start and the weather today make me think of that Wisconsin game.
Well,
Badgers went down the field the first time they had the football. Wolverines do it the second time today.
Now let's also remember in that Wisconsin game, Jack, that as you look at Haji Sheik from Arlington, Texas, that Wisconsin was only able to score 1 time. So let's hope that's the same thing for Michigan. The only thing that I'd like to change is to make sure Buckeyes put some points on the board. But you're right, the weather today is almost the same as it was when Wisconsin came down here and beat Ohio State 6-0.
Haji Sheik kicking to Spencer and Lindsey. It's Timmy Spencer at the 5. He dodges 2 maize and blue tacklers, and then a third gets him at the 13-yard line. Jerry Burguy down there in a hurry as Haji Sheik hung one up there, and Spencer could only bring it back 8 yards. That Wolverine TD drive, 52 yards, 11 plays, using 5:43 on the clock. A big play along the way was an 18-yard dash by quarterback Smith. 2:06 left in the first quarter. Tomczak to put it up on first down through the hands of Frank at the 19-yard line. Mike Boren was in the area.
Ball not very well thrown by Mike Tomczak that time behind his tight end John Frank, who had a step or two on linebacker Mike Boren. Frank now coming out of the ball game, and Brad Dwelly checking in. Mike Boren, the linebacker from Michigan, prepped right here in Columbus at Eastmore High School.
Second down and 10 yards to go. Spencer sprinting to the outside. He puts his head down near a first down at the 23. Bostic on the hit for the Buckeyes, or I should say for the Wolverines. Geargash was there.
Tim Spencer again doing some freelancing this time. This play designed to go up inside, but Tim Spencer notices very quickly that there's no room inside. He kicks it right back outside. Linebacker Paul Geargash really does not have the speed to catch Tim Spencer from behind until Tim had to make his cut there. It's going to bring up third and about the length of the football.
This is Broadnax. He slid off the pile for about a half a yard. That's what he needed.
Yeah, that's all going to depend on where the men in the striped shirt mark this football. It is going to be very, very close. First time that Von Broadnax has carried the football today, Jack, going with the big fullback over right tackle. Trying over Joe Lukens and Jim Carson as we look at the measurement by the officials.
It's a first down for Ohio State. First down, number 2 for the Bucks on the afternoon. Broadnax, by the way, has rushed the football 16 times the last 2 weeks total for nearly 8 yards per carry. And the Buckeyes will set up shop now. First and 10. Just beyond their own 24. All right at the 24-yard line. Williams tight on the left. Spencer behind the Buckeye blocking scheme. Marches forward for about 7. Geargash on the tackle.
Jack, you've mentioned that Gary Williams is coming in and lining up as a tight end. The reason they're doing that, instead of bringing another tight end, they want the threat of Gary Williams in there all the time. But number 2, by lining somebody up tight, that means Michigan has to expand their defense to cover Gary Williams, and that's opening up holes in the middle. That's the reason Ohio State's going to the 2 tight end offense. Well, Tim Spencer with that run became the 4th best has become the 4th best rusher for 1 year with Ohio State with over 1,275 yards.
Second and 3, it's Broadnax. He's upended at the 34, but it appears to be enough for a first down. Mike Boren underneath the pile, as is Paul Geargash. First and 10, Ohio State. 8 seconds left, first quarter. Clock has been started by the official. 2 seconds, 1, and that's it. The first quarter has come to a close here at Ohio Stadium. That's the end of the first period. The score, Michigan 7, Ohio State nothing. We'll be back with more Buckeye football in a moment. This is Jack Kramer with Jeff Logan from Ohio Stadium in Columbus. We're seconds away from the start of period number 2. It's Michigan 7, Buckeyes nothing.
Well, Ohio State trailing 7-0, Jack, as you mentioned, and also trailing in the statistical column. Ohio State only 33 yards of total offense compared to 132 for Michigan with their 2 big drives. Michigan 90 yards on the ground, 32 passing. Ohio State 0 for 3 in the air, yet to complete a pass. Michigan also with 8 first downs compared to only 3 for the Buckeyes, 2 of which came on the drive that we're about to start up again here at the beginning of the second quarter of play. Somebody turned on the spigots again, Jack, because it is coming down.
Neither team has won at home since 1977.
Actually, the last time somebody won at home was in 1977 when Michigan did it up there, 14-6.
Tomczak to zing one. Now he races forward. Picked up about 4. Kevin Brooks from his defensive tackle spot put the clamps on Tomczak. The key block along the way, but Joe Lukens enabled Mike to work upfield for 4 yards.
Pretty good example there of how Mike Tomczak has matured in the season. Early on, he would have probably tried to force that football downfield and possibly had an interception. Instead, he picks up 5 yards.
Second down, counter play. Byers to the near side for about 3 or 4. Keith Byers from Dayton, Ohio, tackled by Carlton Rose and Mike Boren. 3rd and short coming up now for Ohio State.
Byers, the freshman, in there in replacement for Vaughn Broadnax, number 38, who will be checking into the lineup with the play from the sidelines. What a pleasant surprise Keith Byers has been as you look a little bit at what the fans are having to put up with today. All kinds of paraphernalia to try and stay dry for the big game.
3rd and 1. Broadnax and Spencer are behind Tomczak. It's Spencer behind Broadnax's block. He's got the first down to the 46-yard line. Kevin Brooks again on the tackle for the Wolverines as the Buckeye offense starts to generate some momentum. 1st and 10 for Ohio State, just across its own 45. Earl Bruce can rest a bit easier now as the Buckeye offense has advanced the football into good field position. Under 13.5 to go in the second quarter. Michigan 7, Ohio State nothing. We have movement along the Buckeye front. John Frank may have been the guilty person.
Well, I don't know how it could be the tight end. He's allowed to move. Let's listen to the call. Now, once the tight end is down, Jack, he's permitted to move all that he wants to as a receiver. But it's procedure call against the Buckeyes, and that will be the first penalty of this afternoon's football game.
This game is usually a game pretty free of penalties. Last year there were only 4 in this Ohio State-Michigan game.
Well, if there's one thing that has trademarked this game, Jack, it's been that it's played cleanly and it's played hard. There are not a lot of cheap shots or flagrant penalties in this football game, even though emotions are rising to the top.
1st and 15 now. This is Broadnax, and he carried a Michigan man with him. Girgash had a hold of him at about the 44, but Broadnax surged forward to the 47-yard line.
I think the Michigan linebackers are finding out what the other 10 linebackers have seen this year. As you look at Von Broadnax's stats, that you cannot just hold on to him. You've got to be able to tackle him. There's the adversary across the sidelines. Bo Schembechler, former assistant coach at Ohio State under Woody Hayes, played for Woody Hayes and coached against Woody Hayes. Now he's going against Earl Bruce.
Second down, a short 8. Spencer cuts it back up to the middle. Nice bit of ad-libbing, but Jim Spencer to the Michigan 45. Carlton Rose latched onto him, as did Winfred Carraway. It brings up the 3rd down and just a yard.
Perfect example of how to string out that Michigan defense, Jack. This time, all of the flow goes to the wide side, and Timmy Spencer cuts it up inside. Good block by William Roberts. Spencer brings it up just short of the 1st down by about a yard. Well, there you see his stats, averaging 5.5 yards a carry in 82. But, Jack, the last 5 or 6 weeks, Tim Spencer has averaged over 6.5 yards a carry, as he has just run rampant over Big Ten defenses.
And he rambled for 110 last year against Michigan. Not much on that play, though, as on 3rd and a yard, the Wolverines stack up the running play for no gain.
Actually, they're going to lose about 1/2 of a yard, and Earl Bruce decides to send in the punting game, and there's not too many people in scarlet and gray here that make the decision along with him. Earl obviously thinking we're down 7. Let's put Michigan back in horrible field position. Anthony Carter is not back to return the kick. Number 21, Evan Cooper, is back in single safety, Jack.
Edwards to take the snap at his 41. It's a good one. Cooper running under it at the 15. So that's where Michigan will start this offensive thrust. 1st and 10 from its own 15-yard line with 10 minutes and 57 seconds left in the second quarter. Michigan leads Ohio State 7-0. Again, a short kick by Edwards. That one traveled just 30 yards, but no return, as the Buckeyes have limited the return teams this year to just 15 runbacks on punts.
That's one area, Jack, that Michigan is superb in, and that is their special teams. Their punt return team is only allowing just 2 yards per return all during the 1982 season. Yet they've got a punt returner, Anthony Carter, who's leading the nation in punt returns and is doing a super job, averaging over 25 yards in doing kickoff returns.
Now, Jeff, you bring up one of the keys to winning football in the Big Ten Conference. Not only does your special team play have to be good, you've got to be able to run the ball well. The passing teams just don't have good win-loss records in that conference this season.
Well, I love all the people that have been saying all during the year, Earl and Bo, why don't you put the ball in the air? Well, all the guys that put the ball in the air are going to be sitting home come bowl time watching these two guys play. And I still maintain you've got to have a good running game in order to have great success in your season. Lawrence Ricks, 13 carries already, 58 yards and 1 touchdown. Well, if he goes at this pace, Jack, he's going to carry the ball 52 times in his football game. I really don't think that's realistic. 13 carries in the first quarter of play. It'll be the first time that Michigan's had the ball in the second quarter with 10:57 to go.
First down and 10 yards to go for the Maize and Blue at the 15 of Michigan. Carter in motion, hand off straight ahead. Ricks. Foster was the first to make contact. Kosovar was in there for the Buckeyes along with Merrick.
Kind of like the comment made by linebacker Mike Boren this week from Michigan, who went to Eastmore. He said, you know, I really didn't think I could play at Ohio State. I went to Michigan. He said, if I'd been down here, I might be playing behind Merrick and Cobb. Gives you some idea what they think of our linebackers.
Second down, 8 for Michigan. Smith is going to throw one. He's looking upfield. It is intercepted. It is Roland Tatum. At the 28-yard line, Roland Tatum picks it off.
Some unbelievable kind of interception for Roland Tatum. That's number 3 on the year for number 32. He is big play man in capital letters. Here you see good faking in the backfield. Steve Smith looking downfield, had 2 receivers. Now watch the one-handed stab. Oh, Roland Tatum showing the athletic ability and now trying to do his imitation of Jimmy Brown. That's not bad running for a linebacker. How about it? 2 turnovers for Michigan, 1 via fumble as you look at Roland Tatum's stats, the other by way of the intercept.
That's 4 passes Steve Smith has had picked off by Ohio State now in less than 6 quarters of football. 2 receivers far to the left, out of your picture to the top of the screen. It's Spencer. Winfred Carraway grabbed him around the waist. Spencer bounced forward for an additional yard, a gain of a couple. Carlton Rose was also there for the Wolverines.
Well, what an amazing play by Roland Tatum. The guy is 6'1", 220 pounds, and he's out there doing things that you would imagine guys that are 5'9", 170 pounds would be doing, being able to go up there, leap, catch the ball one-handed. He must have been studying the Cedric Anderson passes that Cedric's been able to pull down the last couple of weeks.
He's 6'1", but plays like 6'5" or 6'6". Second down, 7, and the Buckeyes cough it up. Let's see who got it back as they unpile at the 24-yard line. It appears as though the Buckeyes got it. They did. Rodnax, fortunately for Ohio State, retrieves it.
Watch him lose the ball right away. Then it goes off the head of Paul Gergash, number 50. Here's the contact. Ball goes loose. Gergash knocks it back into the pile. And Von Bradnax has one of those like, golly, look what I came up with.
Oh,
Christmas coming early for Von Brodnax.
What a break for the Buckeyes. 3rd and 6. They must reach the 19, just inside it. Tomczak aiming. He's got Frank. John Frank at the 15-yard line. It's a first down for the Buckeyes. Frank caught 7 passes a year ago against Michigan. First down for the Scarlet and Gray.
I don't think there's a guy for Ohio State that plays with more intensity than John Frank, number 89. You're going to see bottom of your screen, Mike Tomczak delivering a strike, and the linebacker slips and falls down on the wet turf. Carlton Rose, number 89, with the responsibility on John Frank. There you see John, 23 receptions this year, and the Buckeyes are on the roll.
First and 10, Ohio State from the Michigan 15. Pitch to Spencer. Brodnax is blocking for him. Spencer goes over. Touchdown. There is a penalty marker down on the field. A yellow flag is down. It's a hold against the Buckeyes. Yellow handkerchief was thrown at about the 10-yard line.
Well, Ohio State has been flagged a number of times this year, and many of them coming at inopportune times. I don't think you could pick one that could hurt more than this one right here. Tim Spencer making an incredible run, and they're going to mark 10 yards off against the Buckeyes. Boy, what a run by Timmy Spencer that time. flat out outran everybody to the corner and then had the ability to turn it up and tightrope the sidelines all the way into the end zone, but it all goes for naught as Ohio State will come up with 1st and 20. They need to get inside the 5-yard line for a first down, Jack.
Amazing how Spencer turned on a dime at a right angle almost and went straight upfield into the end zone.
Especially on the wet turf.
1st and 20, Tom Zach being pressured. And he's tackled back at the 33. Brooks came off the pile. Deargash was chasing Tom Zach.
Now Michigan was in their patented 3-deep defense. 3 defensive backs back there had everybody covered. And there you see the late blitz. It's a late blitz by Deargash, number 50. And Mike Tomczak at this time is thinking one thing, just protect the football.
Ohio State must get all the way to the 5-yard line for a first down. 2nd down, 28. Tom Zach on a screen to Spencer. Needs a block. He gets it. He puts his head down and drives to the 21-yard line. Marion Body was bopped to the turf by Spencer as the Buckeyes got 13 of those yards back real quick like.
Well, the little delayed screen has not been a big part of Ohio State's offense this year, but they executed very well. Joe Lukens, the offensive guard, out to give the one block that they really needed. Keith Bostic and Marion Body out there for Michigan making the tackle.
Spencer has now caught 11 balls for 110 yards on the campaign. 3rd down, 3rd and 16 for Ohio State. 7 minutes, 6 seconds to go, 2nd quarter. Again, Williams is tight on the right. To Williams, 6-yard line. He'll come up short of the first down by 1 yard. Zach was looking for Gary all the way. Tony Gant on the tackle. 4th down.
Gary Williams lined up at tight end as we see the replay, and Mike Tomczak delivering a strike right to Gary Williams. Look how close he is to the first down, 1 yard away. And folks, you might be able to tell from the cheering that Ohio State is going to go for it. Here's Tomczak delivering the strike. Great pictures again from our WOSU crew. Well, don't leave for a sandwich now. Big play.
4th down, 4th and less than 1. It is a touchdown. Vaughn Brodnax. Touchdown number 8 for Vaughn Brodnax.
Oh, you talk about being able to come back in the face of adversity. They had 2nd down and 30 yards to go. Vaughn Brodnax delivering a strike to one of the defensive backs. That won't do it. Even Cooper, number 21, can't make the tackle. Vaughn Brodnax. Looks like Ajax Trucking coming through, and he crosses the yard marker. Fumbled the ball, but it didn't make any difference.
Boy, John Frank and Joe Smith and Jim Lukens just crumpled Wolverine blockers to the ground, or I should say defensive linemen, as they wedged out a big hole, and the Buckeyes are just a point short, 7-6.
Some kind of effort by Evan Cooper, 175-pound defensive back, trying to arm tackle Vaughn Brodnax.
Spangler's conversion try is good, and we've got a brand new ball game. 6:53 to go, 2nd quarter. Ohio State 7, Michigan 7. Well, usually this game is decided each year, Jeff, by breaks and how well you capitalize on them. Last year, Michigan squandered several opportunities, came up on the short end.
Well, Ohio State capitalizing on their opportunity via the interception by Roland Tatum, 32. Nobody's going to stop Vaughn Brodnax when he gets that close to the goal line. Look how big and thunderous he looks as he charges to the goal line. And Keith Bostic, number 13, will think again about hitting Vaughn Brodnax in the open field.
First time the Buckeyes have scored a touchdown at home against Michigan in a decade.
Since 1972. The last guy to do it was Archie Griffin. Now, both scores, Jack, coming in the ball game, each for Michigan and Ohio State, have come as a result of great field position. Ohio State taking the ball on the interception, Michigan taking the ball on the short punt at the 48-yard line. I don't think you're going to see many 80 or 90-yard drives today. These are just too good of football teams to do that against on a regular basis. breaks, turnovers, as you talked about, playing an important part. Who can capitalize on them? Michigan a year ago, as you mentioned, did not do a good job at all in capitalizing on the breaks that they received. Now, Von Brodnack's on the sideline, 6 carries today for 19 yards and 1 touchdown. Junior from Xenia, heavyweight wrestling champ in the state of Ohio when he was at Xenia. Contemplating now going out for the Ohio State wrestling team this winter. I wouldn't get on the mat with him, would you?
No, buddy. No, with the exception of one game early in the year, Jeff. 6 carries for Brodnax at this point in the contest is the most times he's seen the football.
Well, I think with Ohio State going to that 2 tight end offense, and one of those tight ends being Gary Williams, you're going to see a lot more of the running backs from tackle to tackle, because they're spreading out that Michigan defense by lining more people up on the line of scrimmage. That moves the tackle out, it moves the linebacker out outside of Gary Williams, which opens up some holes inside.
Well, Mr. Neff is in to do the kicking chores for the Buckeyes.
He started doing that last week against Northwestern. Up until that time, it had always been Rich Spangler, number 10. Well, this is the Anthony Carter show this time, because this kick should not travel into the end zone.
Neff kicks a low one. Carter steps in front of Smith to return it. Carter surges across the 30 to the 31. Roland Tatum tackles him as Carter got up a full head of speed, put on the afterburners, and raced it back to the 31. 1st and 10, Michigan.
Now, we mentioned in the open, Anthony Carter has the ability to break a game open quicker than anybody that's ever played the game. If you remember back to the opening game of the year for Michigan against Notre Dame, the one that appeared on national television, he had the 72-yard punt return for a touchdown to really put a hurt on the Irish.
Lawrence Ricks, Chris Ream, and Marcus Merrick put the double whammy on him at the 33-yard line. Short pickup of 2. 2nd down, 8 coming up for the Wolverines. Rome Foster assisted on the play.
Jack, the one graphic that we had earlier talking about the last time a home team has won this game has been 1977. Kind of throws out the old adage that the home field advantage is positive. Ohio State now at home, obviously, and trying to change that today.
Smith is throwing on 2nd and 8. All kinds of time. Carter catches it, but he's wrapped up immediately. Roland Tatum administered the blow on Carter, who kept waiting for the football in the flat. By the time he got it, the Buckeyes were right on top of him.
Roland Tatum was like a python that time, just waiting for the mouse to come out of the hole. He knew that they were going to go with the screen play. Steve Smith setting it up, waiting and waiting, finds Anthony Carter. Now look at this. Roland Tatum is inside of Anthony Carter, just like a snake waiting for his prey.
Roland Tatum has been the Buckeyes' big play man on defense so far. 3rd and 12. Smith down the middle for Dunaway. A tremendous catch by Craig Dunaway to the Ohio State 44-yard line. The ball was loose, but the official says Dunaway was down. Doug Hill on the tackle, but a spectacular catch by the Michigan tight end.
Well, you're right. Craig Dunaway, number 88, makes number 30 on the year for catches, and it's a big one. Goes very high for the football. Should have been overthrown. Now watch here to see if it is a fumble. The ball hits the ground and comes loose. The rule in the Big Ten is that the ground, the field, cannot make a tackle. Therefore, as soon as the ball hits the ground, it is dead. Good call by the officials. Michigan crosses the 50-yard line. Jack, Michigan, much the same as Ohio State, does not put the ball up in the air very often, but when they do it with great efficiency.
5:12 left, 2nd quarter. Wolverines on the march. Rice, the freshman fullback, barges forward for about 4. Kurt Curtis and Glenn Cobb were in Rice's road after he advanced it forward to the 40-yard line, 2nd and 6. Bo Schembechler has produced outstanding teams at Michigan. Last year was the first team that he has produced that was not outside the top 10 ranked by AP and UPI. They finished 12th in UPI. This is Ricks bouncing off tacklers and getting down to the 38-yard line. Delvin Bell bumped him out of bounds.
Combination of poor tackling and great running this time. Lawrence Ricks tries to squirt into a hole here. Marcus Merrick, 36, cannot bring him down. Lawrence Ricks does a good job of using that free arm to push players off and separate him between the tackler. Pretty good pickup. It's still going to bring up 3rd down and a long 3. There you see some idea of the rain and water that are accumulating on the AstroTurf today here at Ohio Stadium.
3rd and 3. A long 3. Michigan must get inside the 35. Smith has a man open. It's Carter who picks it off underneath the Buckeye defense. Glenn Cobb on the tackle. 1st and 10 Wolverines at the 25 of Ohio State. Marcus Merrick assisted.
I still maintain Ohio State has to be more physical with Anthony Carter coming off the line of scrimmage. This curl in over the middle. He's got a linebacker one-on-one, Marcus Merrick. And folks, Michigan would like nothing better than to isolate Anthony Carter on a linebacker. You've got to stand him up when he comes off the line of scrimmage and slow him down.
1st and 10 Wolverines. It's for Carter. A tough play to cover. And he's at the 12. Another 1st down. Sean Gale was there, but Carter had the 30 yards of the field to this side to work with, and Smith found him.
Well, Anthony Carter commands great respect from all defensive backs. Sean Gale giving him an awful lot of room. He falls down. Anthony Carter, expecting to get hit immediately, actually went down very easily. Had Anthony Carter tried to run after catching that football, Jack, I'm afraid it would have been a touchdown.
From the 12, the Wolverines can get a 1st down at the 2. Carter in motion. It's a pitch to him. He's only run the ball 7 times this year. There's a penalty marker down as Carter gets to the 9. Could be a hold against the maize and blue.
Yeah, they're looking right at Craig Dunaway, the tight end. What a great tackle he made on Roland Tatum, and the official is right there to see it. Call's going to go against the University of Michigan. Well, you mentioned that Anthony Carter has not run the ball very often this year. This time it was a quick pitch to the speedster from Riviera Beach, Florida. Ohio State did a good job of defensing the play.
So the Wolverines are victimized by the 10-yard holding call, as were the Buckeyes several minutes ago. 3:38 to go in the 2nd quarter. Game deadlocked at 7-7.
See if we can find the holding. Number 88 is the tight end, Craig Dunaway. He'll be at the top of your screen. 88. There's the tackle right there. Hooked him with his arm, and the official right on top of it.
Good takedown on Roland Tatum that time by the tight end of Michigan.
It's the best tackle of the day.
Bean and Carter are split to the left. Dunaway tight on the right on 1st and 20. Draw play to Ricks to the 20, and that's it. Hocevar wrapped his arms around him, as did Kurt Curtis. Second down and 18 yards to go for the Wolverines. Michigan just made a switch at guard. DiOrio back in. We're near the 3-minute mark. Second down, 18 for the Wolves. Play action. Smith holds on to it. Down he goes. A 2-yard loss. Hocevar was right in his path. Chris Ream also bear hugged him.
Good recovery by Ohio State that time, Jack, because it appeared that Steve Smith had more than enough room to run. Hocevar and Chris Ream playing heads-up football.
Boy, I've liked to play a Hocevar the last few weeks, Jeff. A converted football player. Started out at center in a scarlet and gray uniform. The Wolverines 6 for 7 on 3rd downs. They're going to be severely tested right here. 3rd and 20. Smith dropped the football. Ohio State appears to have gotten it. It's Ohio State football. Turnover number 3 for the Wolverines. Foster is on the bottom of that pile.
Now they're fighting like crazy for it. Jerome Foster comes up with it. Buckeye football. Well, that's the second exchange problem between Steve Smith and center Tom Dixon. Watch here. The ball is loose. That's quarterback Steve Smith's problem. He can't get on the football. Jerome Foster is there. And the Buckeyes snuff out another drive because, Jack, if Michigan recovers the ball there, that's an automatic field goal for Haji Sheikh.
So the Buckeyes come up with the big play.
Well, Bo Schembechler is on the sidelines, and he is requesting the officials. Folks, he is hot. He is talking with the officials about the fumble, thinking that very possibly Steve Smith had the football and it was taken away from him by Jerome Foster. Well, Steve Smith at 194 pounds and Foster at 258. That's easy to believe. Needless to say, though, Jack, with 2 minutes and 17 seconds to go here in the first half, Ohio State has taken away a great scoring opportunity by Michigan again. 3 turnovers in the first half. 2 fumbles by quarterback Steve Smith on exchanges, and 1 interception, the one by Roland Tatum, number 32 for Ohio State.
Last year, Michigan got inside the 10-yard line of Ohio State 4 times, could do no better than 3 short field goals. So the Wolverines, who had the better of it today on offense, are still in a 7-7 tie. Bo Schembechler beside himself.
Well, you see his record at Michigan, obviously winning many more games than he's lost. This year, 8-2. 2 losses coming out of the conference. 1 to Notre Dame and 1 to the University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA. Earl Bruce in the brain trust of the Ohio State offense. Glenn Mason, Wayne Stanley. There's Earl's record at Ohio State, 36-10, 27-4 in Big Ten play, and 2-1 against Michigan.
2:17 to go till halftime. 1st and 10 Ohio State. Spencer on the loose. Tim Spencer to the 50-yard line. Keith Bostic chased him out of bounds. Tim Spencer rambles for big yardage.
If Tim Spencer doesn't get All-American status this year, it's not his fault. What a great runner. Look at Joe Lukens out delivering the blow on the defensive back. And Tim Spencer is 2 steps away from going all the way. Oh, Timmy Spencer the last 6 weeks has been superhuman. Now Ohio State will go into that 2-minute offense, Jack. 2 minutes, 11 seconds to go.
3 wide receivers are in there now. 2 are split to the near side. Official puts the towel to the football as Craig Pack is ready to snap it to Mike Tomczak. Williams tight on the right. 1st and 10 from midfield. Tomczak looking. Williams can't reach it at the 35 as the ball wobbled about 2 yards out ahead of Gary. Incomplete. Mike Boren covered. Clock stops at 2:06.
Jack, with that run by Tim Spencer, 1 play before, he becomes the 5th leading rusher in Big Ten history. Archie Griffin, of course, the leading rusher in the Big Ten, and Tim Spencer now becoming number 5. There's been some good ones, if you think.
2nd down, 10 yards to go for the Scarlet and Gray at midfield. Pitch to Spencer. He may throw. He loops it for Anderson. Too high at the 32-yard line as Marion Body leaped in front of Cedric just before the ball arrived. And Spencer wisely pitched it a little too far rather than a bit too short.
Jack, what does Tim Spencer and Earl Bruce think they're doing? This is an Ohio State-Michigan game. You're not supposed to have any razzle-dazzle in this football game. I like the call by Earl Bruce, though. I think it's a good call in the situation. Loosen up that secondary a little bit and make them think a little bit that Tim Spencer may not always run the football when it's pitched to him. Good play call, but it's going to bring up 3rd down and 10.
3 wide receivers in now for Ohio State as they go against the 3 deep Michigan defense. Tomczak being pursued. Lost it for Anderson. A fine catch by Cedric. Just outside the 30-yard line. Cedric Anderson was backpedaling, managed to keep his balance and haul in the football.
I remember Steve Smith in his sophomore year blew it up at Michigan. This is Mike Tomczak in his sophomore year, and he's sticking it right to him. Keeping great composure of a senior quarterback and still able to find Cedric Anderson. Cedric leaps for the football and keeps that 1 foot in bounds. I'll match our receiving core against anybody in the country.
A minute 52 to go. Buckeyes have advanced the football 50 yards in 30 seconds. This is Spencer, gaping hole. Tim Spencer breaking tackles and stiff-arming Wolverines. Charges all the way down to the 18-yard line.
And I'll tell you what else Tim did good, Jack. After he got into that secondary, he headed for the sideline. Get out of bounds. Tim Spencer, 46. Watch Evan Cooper, 21, try and make the tackle on Tim Spencer. Hello and goodbye. Stepping out of bounds, Buckeyes. Another first down. Still only a minute and 47 seconds left on the clock, Jack. But as you mentioned, this drive has not taken up much time at all. And no timeouts.
First and 10, Ohio State from the Wolverine 18-yard line. Two receivers, far to the left. This is Broadnack's right guard. And he slams to the 14 or 15-yard line. Geargash on the tackle. Clock moving, a minute 32 to go, first half.
Buckeyes have to hurry up and get up to the line of scrimmage, Jack. Now the officials are stopping the clock with a minute and 28, trying to get a football on the field. There they started up again. Earl Bruce on the sidelines. Here we go.
Second down, 6 yards to go for Ohio State. 15 for a touchdown. Tomczak dumping it for Frank. Way over his head at the 10-yard line. He was pretty well covered as the pass by Tomczak goes awry.
I think Mike Tomczak basically gave up on that pass pattern there. He thought that John Frank was not going to come up as open as he was. He had Gary Williams in the end zone curling and just decided to throw the ball out of bounds.
Third down, 3rd and 6. Clock is stopped. 71 seconds to go. A minute 11. First half. Williams tight on the left. Anderson split 13 yards outside him. It's Spencer getting the call. He extends himself to about the 9. Very close to a first down. It may be about a half-yard short.
Well, Tim Spencer made a great effort to reach for that first down. Ohio State crossing Michigan up somewhat. Michigan looking for a passing play. Ohio State running right up the middle. And Ohio State is going to go for it. It's going to be 4th down and about a half a yard.
Hey, I think he's got it, Jeff. It's going to be close.
It is going to be very close. I think they're going to appear about the length of the football short, if I'm not mistaken. There it is, about 8 inches. I don't think there's any decision. You've got Von Broadnax. You're moving the football. There's enough time on the clock. Go for it.
Well, the officials eyeball it with a scrutinizing eye, and Ohio State comes up about 6 inches short.
This may be the first example of the fact that this game is not for the Big Ten championship. Had it been, you might try and go with the field goal and get the 3 points, but Ohio State, with nothing to lose today, is going to bring out all the weapons and go for it.
The scoreboard reads 4th down and 1. Actually, 4th and 1 inch might be a little more accurate.
Spencer right over Broadnax. Watch it here.
Broadnax, first down.
Broadnax over Spencer. There you go to your meat and potatoes guy, and that's Von Broadnax, number 38. They'll take time to set the clock. Von Broadnax running right over Joe Smith, Joe Lukin, Scott Zielinski. Ohio State takes a timeout. With 51 seconds to go in the first half, Ohio State leads it 7-7. Would you expect anything different in an Ohio State-Michigan game? There's going to be people asking the people next to him today in the stands, You chew your fingernails, and they're going to hope they say no so that they can chew theirs, because they're going to use theirs all up today. What a game this is going to be, as it always is.
And the Buckeyes are high in the sky right now. They're on the verge of taking the lead. It's 7-7 with 51 seconds to go in the second quarter. Von Brodnax was really little used during the course of midseason, but he's really been a crucial man in that Buckeye attack. Jeff, I think about 1 of every 5 times he carries it, he either picks up a first down or a touchdown.
But Von Brodnax very important, as Bo Schembechler, I'm sure, knows in watching those films. Brodnax now near 100% healthy, had the shin splint problems. 14th year at Michigan for Bo, and no signs of leaving. Texas A&M, Jack, as you remember earlier, a year back, made a big pitch to try and get Bo to come down there at multi-million-dollar contract. They ended up with Jackie Sherrill from Pitt. They've lost more games this year than they lost in the last 3. Sure, Bo is looking back and saying what a great move that was to stay where I am. Here we go, Jack. 51 seconds.
Two tight ends in for the Buckeyes. Anderson took it from Spencer. He's down to the 2-yard line. A little razzle-dazzle by the Buckeyes. You know, Jeff, think back to last week. Ohio State might have been setting Michigan up a little bit. Spencer carried the football initially. He gave it back to Cedric.
Well, that time, again, you're catching Michigan looking for what the normal Ohio State Buckeyes would do. Forget it. Tim Spencer hands off on the reverse, and you've got Mike Tomczak, the quarterback, out there leading the blocks. He actually makes an incredible block on number 3, Marion Body. Keith Bostic, 13, having to come up to save the touchdown. Ohio State takes another timeout. Now, Cedric had 2 options. He could either turn it up inside or go outside. Cedric chose the option of going straight ahead. So that takes Ohio State inside the 2-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal at the 2 with 36 seconds to go in the first half. Well, if you had an artist that could come and paint a picture of what a perfect drive would look like with 2 minutes to go in a ball game, he would have painted the picture we're seeing right here, because Ohio State has been superb in the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds of this half.
Well, the Buckeyes last year went to 80 yards with it twice. 2 picture-perfect drives as they solved the Michigan defense a year ago. And they have carried the football in less than 2 minutes from their own 20 down to the Michigan 2. 2nd and goal at that point. 36 seconds to go. That was Cedric's 8th carry of the football on a rushing play this year. But that may be the first, perhaps the second time he's carried it after getting it on the second handoff. It went to Spencer first and then back to Cedric.
It's a play that Michigan likes to use so very often with Anthony Carter, number 1.
Buckeyes confidently come up to the line of scrimmage. Williams lined up in the slot on the right. It's a touchdown by Tim Spencer.
Enjoy it, everybody. 90,000 are enjoying it here today. Tim Spencer going right over top of William Roberts. Look at the great block of Joe Lukens. Joe Lukens, the right guard, pulls and takes out the last Michigan defender. Tim Spencer does the rest on his own. Touchdown, Buckeyes. They lead at 13-7.
Buckeyes, 11 plays, 75 yards, 1:44 off the clock. Of course, Tomczak threw a 25-yarder to Anderson during that drive. Spangler, who's missed just 2 points after this year, both of them last week, will try for his 2nd straight today. And it is perfect. 33 seconds left, second quarter. Ohio State 14, Michigan 7. So the Buckeyes have seemingly taken the momentum away from the Wolverines, who've been hurt by turnovers, and lead it by a touchdown now.
Watch Joe Lucan, 72. He pulls on the linebacker, Mike Boren, and drills him to the ground. That's what opens up the play for Tim Spencer. Well, Mike Boren will think again about attending Michigan after that block by Joe Lukens. Congratulations to the Buckeyes. They lead it 14-7. 33 seconds to go. And the one thing that I'm sure that the special teams coach for Ohio State is telling his kicking unit, Jack, is keep the ball away from AC, Anthony Carter. Don't allow him to turn the momentum back to Michigan. I'm sure they'll try and squib kick one. Do not allow Anthony Carter to touch the football.
Anthony currently holds the all-time NCAA mark for highest average yards recorded per play, all-purpose-wise. 18.2 yard average. That's running the football from scrimmage, punts, kickoff returns, and pass catches. That's some kind of figure, 18.2.
Well, you talk about Anthony Carter and the fact that, here's a guy that is barely 160 pounds, 5'11", and I can't remember ever Anthony Carter being hurt and missing a football game. He has had great longevity at Michigan, being able to come back and play in every football game. Look at that, folks. I kind of compare him to Bambi. He's got the legs of Bambi the deer. But boy, he can run like a deer also. See if they squib kick it.
Scott Neff is booting it for the Buckeyes. And it's kicked short to the 34-yard line. It's fumbled, but the official may rule that the Michigan man, when he fielded the football, had his knee on the turf.
Boy, and they're very fortunate because that ball seemed to linger at the edge of the sideline, and it was a fumble had they not blown the ball dead when Craig Dunaway, number 88, picked up the football. Mike Lanise, number 1, on the tackle for Ohio State. Well, Ohio State will go into somewhat of a prevent defense, Jack, with 2 deep backs. They've got 5 defensive backs in the game.
28 seconds to go. 2 receivers out of your picture to the bottom of the screen. As Smith sets up to, he handed the ball to Ricks. Beautiful fake by Smith, and Ricks carried the football to the 47-yard line. Tom Anthony on the tackle, and the Wolverines, with another 20 yards or so, might be in Haji Sheik's field goal range.
I'm sure that's what Bo Schembechler is thinking now. Let's at least get some points on the board. With the kicker of Haji Sheik's ability, you're going to see Ohio State only rushing 2 guys, fully expecting the pass, sending 2, and keeping everybody else back to cover the pass. Lawrence Ricks had something different in mind as Michigan expels one of their timeouts.
That play used only 7 seconds. Keep in mind, Mr. Haji Sheik is 7 for 9 this year, outside 40 yards.
I think his longest kick of the year, Jack, was the 50-yarder that he made against Indiana earlier this year. And there's a trailing wind coming out of the south end of the field that would add about 5 or 10 yards to any kick. Now Ohio State leads at 14-7 in Michigan with 21 seconds on the clock, trying to get themselves back into the ball game, at least on the emotional part of it. It's Ohio State dominating here in the second quarter, mostly by virtue of the 3 turnovers that Michigan has had today.
Anthony is the 5th deep back in now for Ohio State.
Now the Michigan center, Tom Dixon, looks down at the football and says, that's not dry enough.
I think the Wolverines have complained about that a time or 2 today, that the ball has not been dry enough for them.
Carter's in the backfield again, number 1.
Smith for Carter, through his hands at the 37. Kelvin Bell was waiting on him. Marcus Merrick was in the vicinity.
3 Buckeyes that time with the responsibility of staying close to Anthony Carter. Sean Gale, number 2, actually forcing the ball high. He had the underneath coverage. And Kelvin Bell, number 4, coming up to remind Anthony Carter that next time he comes out there, he's going to get hit, which is all part of football. And You've got to dominate back there. You've got to be physical and aggressive. Ohio State now in 3 deep.
Carter is split about 10 yards to the right, to the top of the screen. Smith looking that way. Now back to the left, throwing a wobbly one. Interception. Picked off by Kelvin Bell. He steps out of bounds at the 37. Vince Bean was the intended receiver. 8 seconds to go. Pickoff number 4 on the year for Bell.
Well, that four interceptions by Kelvin Bell, 4 turnovers by Michigan, all attributed to number 16, Steve Smith. This looks like duck season in Ann Arbor, folks, because that ball didn't have a prayer. Kelvin Bell steps in front as if he was playing shortstop, and Ohio State can kill the clock with 8 seconds to go. Well, you don't want to lay too many harsh words on Steve Smith, but Jack, the 4 turnovers today have been as a result of 2 interceptions, attributable, of course, to the quarterback. The 2 fumbles have been missed snaps by the quarterback from center.
8-6 left on the clock as Tomczak kneels down after getting the snap from center, and the first half is going to draw to a close. That's it. That's the end of the first 2 quarters from Ohio Stadium. The score, Ohio State 14, Michigan 7. We'll be back with more Buckeye football in a moment. It's the second half of Buckeye football. Jack Kramer with Jeff Logan at Ohio Stadium in Columbus. The Buckeyes lead the Wolverines by a score of 14-7. Michigan has committed 4 turnovers so far today. That's the most in any one game for Michigan since a year ago last year when they lost to Ohio State in Ann Arbor.
Well, I think that's very fitting, Jack, that they would come back and do that again for us in 1982. As I mentioned at the end of the second half, all of the turnovers have been attributable to the quarterback position. Steve Smith, number 16 for Michigan, 2 interceptions and 2 fumbled snaps. The Buckeyes, on the other hand, have been mistake-free. They have not had a turnover, only 1 fumble, but that was recovered by Vaughn Broadnax. The Buckeyes are playing the perfect game that is required to win this game year in and year out.
Michigan kicking off with the win to start quarter number 3. Spencer, 4 yards deep in the end zone, will not return it. And the Buckeyes will start their offense from the 20. 1st and 10 here at the outset of the 3rd quarter.
There's the first half stats, Jack. Very, very close. Total yards, Michigan leading against Ohio State. But look at the turnovers. Bottom line, left. Michigan 4, Ohio State nothing.
Workhorse Tim Spencer. Stutter steps his way across the 25 to the 28-yard line. Bostic on the tackle. 2nd down, a short 2 coming up for Ohio State.
Here's the Ohio State offensive line that's done such a great job so far. Robert, Zelensky, Pack, Lukens, and Carson. The receivers, Frank, Williams, and Anderson. And the backs, Tomczak, Broadnax, and Spencer. Spencer with 88 yards rushing in the first half, Jack.
Spencer upended, a loss of 1. Buckeyes are now confronted with 3rd down and 3.
Here's your Michigan defense, believe me, folks, it is the Michigan defense. Winfred Carraway, Al Sinsich, and Kevin Brooks are the defensive line. The linebackers, Thompson, Rose, Gergash, and Boren. There you see them. And the defensive secondary of Bostic, Body, Burguy, and Cooper.
3rd down and 3. Buckeyes must reach the 30. Possession play. Williams in motion. Tim Spencer skirting the corner. 1st down to the 32-yard line. Gergash delivered the blow to Spencer, but it's a 1st down, Ohio State.
Notice how Tim Spencer was so disciplined on that run, Jack, that he allowed his blocking to happen before he tried to force it. Again, Joe Lukens pulling, waiting on Broadnax to make his block, and cuts up inside of Foreign, number 40. Gergash, number 50, makes the tackle.
You're right, Jeff. It would have been so easy for Tim to have outrun his blockers, but he didn't do it. And the Buckeyes have a 1st and 10. Counter play, Broadnax. He's still on his feet. Vaughn Broadnax determination and stubbornness in the world, is out to the 49-yard line. A Wolverine is down on the ground.
Running like a runaway locomotive. It's a delayed counter. Zelensky with a big block, and William Roberts. Look how Von Brodnax just dominates that defensive secondary. Jerry Burguy, number 15, trying to come up and stop Brodnax. You can't do it. Brodnax, 20 yards rushing. All in the first half. That's his first carry here in the second half of play. And Michigan has elected to use this timeout due to an injury to go to the sidelines. The injured player right in front of the Ohio State bench.
We believe it's Cooper, the free safety. A 6-footer, 172-pounder. Of course, he was plastered by Von Brodnax. Big Vaughn, 6'3" and over 250.
Now, Cooper from Miami of Florida is very, very important to that secondary for Michigan. 4 interceptions on the year. Bested only by Keith Bostic's 5 on the year for Michigan. As you see the training staff attending to him. Both teams, as you see Bo Schembecker looking across the way.
Stop by the Ohio Union for Christmas.
Jack, I think that if we would have had a camera and microphone in the locker room, in Bo Schembecker's locker room, the things that he might have been saying were things like, guys, listen, we're only down by 7 and we've given Ohio State the ball 4 times. We're good enough to win this football game if we don't make errors. And Ohio State, I'm sure in their locker room, was saying, Jack, what's the score? Its score is 0-0. You've got to go out and play the second half as if you had no advantage at all. And it appears that Ohio State is coming out with the necessary emotion and drive that they need to take control of this football game in the second half of play.
One positive sign weather-wise, the clouds are breaking somewhat here at Ohio Stadium as Cooper is being carried off the field.
There's Tim Spencer, gone over 100 yards again. Only his second carry this afternoon, makes it 101 yards, 1 TD, 16 carries.
That's 9 of 11 games this year. Spencer will have gone over the 100-yard mark. This makes 6 in a row.
And you and I, Jack, have a personal vendetta against the Wisconsin game where Tim Spencer was put at fullback, which is bad enough, but to only give him the ball 5 or 6 times in that game is a real crime.
13 minutes, 24 seconds left, third quarter. First and 10, Ohio State from the 49. Tim Spencer goes down at the 47 of Michigan. Girgash had some help. Boren and Burguy assisted him. Tim Spencer, whose longest run the first 4 weeks of the year was just 15 yards, has been a big play running back the last several weeks.
The key to that, Jack, is those offensive linemen in the last 6 or 7 weeks have been getting downfield and getting a second block. You need those linemen so very much to make 2 blocks instead of just the required 1.
Buckeyes must reach the 41 for a first down. Pitch to Spencer, looking for room. And he's cornered and dropped behind the line as the Wolverines smelled that one out. Thompson was the man who penetrated the Buckeye blocking scheme and nailed Spencer behind the line. 3rd down and 8. Frank has just checked in for Dwelly.
Jack, Ohio State with its 3rd down and 8. They were 8 out of 10 so far in 3rd down efficiency. Both teams have been very successful on 3rd down.
Tomczak wide open. John Frank fumbled, but he was down at the 34-yard line. Bostic on the tackle.
What great protection for Mike Tomczak that time, Jack. Michigan had a blitz on, and you're going to see the Ohio State running backs step up inside and take the linebackers down. Delayed blitz by Michigan. Spencer picks up the blitz. Mike Tomczak has all the time in the world. Great protection by the line, and John Frank finding an open spot comes up with the first down. There's see John Frank's stats coming into today's game. Most of that coming in the second half of the season.
1st and 10, Ohio State. It's Spencer turning outside right tackle for about 6 or 7 more. Credit Winfred Caraway for the tackle. Second down and 4 for Ohio State. Football will be placed down at the Michigan 27.5-yard line. This is Broadnax. Vaughn Broadnax with a big avenue to run. Jurgage finally wrestled him down. It's a first down, Ohio State at the Michigan 16.
Well, Vaughn Broadnax running like a man possessed this afternoon. No way your fullback should be able to get these many yards for you, but look at the great blocking by Spencer, Lukens, Gary Williams. And he's not done yet, folks. Number 15, Jerry Buckeye, trying to tackle the football instead of trying to tackle Vaughn Broadnax.
5 pairs of hands and arms touch Broadnax, who eluded all the would-be tacklers. A first down pickup. This is Jimmy Gale. And Jimmy is stopped just after he gets started. A loss of maybe a yard. Tom Hassel, the backup linebacker to Carlton Rose, stood Gale up for a loss of 1. Second down, 11. We near the 10-minute mark, third quarter. Buckeyes 14, Michigan 7.
Jack, it appears to me as officials want a timeout, it's their timeout. Winfred Caraway, number 63, going to the sidelines. He's injured. It appears to me that this Michigan defense is tired. Seems like they're not tackling well, and you see them just standing there, and it looks like they're exhausted. I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line for Ohio State. They're beating them up physically.
Anderson in motion across the formation on 2nd and 11. Mike fumbles. Michigan recovers. Hammerstein on the recovery.
Well, first turnover for the Buckeyes. Mike Tomczak trying to pass, gets pretty good protection early on, can't find a receiver. And trying to stiff arm the tackler, the ball comes loose. Robert Thompson accredited with the caused fumble. Well, Michigan's back in the hunt, Jack, with 9:41 to go.
2 receivers to the left out of your picture. Now Carter comes in motion. Smith still has the football. First down, Michigan. Garcia Lane slid the ball carrier Smith to the turf. Help from Curtis. They may have to measure. It's right at the first down stake as Smith's knee touched down at the 47.
Glenn Cobb, number 35, the Buckeye co-captain from Washington Courthouse, had the responsibility here of the quarterback, or excuse me, Marcus Merrick, and could not make the tackle. Well, you won't see that happen very often. Marcus Merrick overrunning the play. To look at the measurement by the officials. Here's the Michigan offense. Rick Strenger, Jerry DiOrio, Dixon, Humphreys, and James are your line. Dunaway, Bean, Anthony Carter, the receivers. And the quarterback is Steve Smith. Running backs, freshman Dan Rice and senior Lawrence Ricks.
The Wolverines actually came up about the length of your finger short of a first down. Just a couple inches shy. Second down. It's not Halloween here today, but it looks like it. 9:20 left, third quarter.
Good passing down for Michigan, Jack, because they've got a great running game. They come back on third down.
Oh, Foster buries Ricks, the ball carrier. A loss of maybe a foot or two. Jerome Foster had entered the game with 11 tackles for loss. Roland Tatum helps.
I really think this is a great passing down. Michigan chooses to run. Jerome Foster just flat out beats his man, Rich Strenger. And look at the rest of the Buckeyes in there to assist. Buckeyes defense, Foster, Nelms, and Ream. Linebackers, Curtis, Tatum, Cobb, and Merrick. And the secondary of Garcia Lane, Sean Gale, Doug Hill, and Kelvin Bell, 3rd and 1.
Loudermilk is in for Ohio State, 3rd and just 1 to go for Michigan. Ricks is piled up. just across the line of scrimmage. Depends on where the official marks the forward progress. There's the signal. First down for Michigan. Nelms helped stack up the play for the Buckeyes.
Again, Ohio State had pretty good penetration that time, but could not get to Lawrence Ricks in the backfield. Now Michigan getting the ball with great field position in their first drive here in the second half.
From the 48, first and 10. This is Ricks to the Buckeyes 48. Spencer Nelms comes off that pile for the Buckeyes. Chris Ream helped Ricks up off the turf. Under 8 minutes to go, third quarter. Buckeyes 14, Wolverines 7. Second down and 6.
Jack, again here in the second half, Spencer Nelms is making a number of tackles downfield, which means that the center and guards are dominating the middle and blowing him back into the linebacker area.
Bean and Carter split right. Ricks again, big hole. Lawrence Ricks running like he did in the first quarter for the Wolverines. It is a first down for Michigan at the Buckeye 41. Glenn Cobb made the last tackle on Lawrence Ricks. He carried just 6 times a year ago against the Buckeyes. Of course, then he was playing behind Butch Woolfolk.
Lawrence Ricks prepped at Barberton High School right here in Ohio. Bo Schembechler's hometown. That couldn't have been too big of a recruiting chore for Bo. Got some good ones out of Barberton.
First and 10. Fake pitch. Smith looking down the middle for Carter. Almost intercepted. Garcia Lane played center field beautifully. Almost picked it off.
Garcia Lane came from nowhere, Jack, to make the play. Anthony Carter running a slant all the way to the flag in the far corner of the end zone. Steve Smith getting good protection, throws a pretty good football. Top of your screen, Garcia Lane timing it perfectly, takes the ball right out of Anthony Carter's hands. Well, big play there. Anthony Carter has not really been able to hurt Ohio State. In the first half, he only caught 5 passes for only 47 yards.
Second down and 10. Carter out of the backfield this time. Smith keeps it. And he is bear hugged to the ground at the 40-yard line. Carter lined up in the backfield as he's done on several occasions today. Smith had to eat the football. Roland Tatum wrapped him up.
That's a Michigan quarterback draw. He takes 2 or 3 steps back, is not really looking to pass the football, and takes off running. Ohio State playing very good defense. Hocevar, number 68, and Roland Tatum. Well, Hocevar has played one heck of a football game, subbing at middle guard. Byron Lee, 82, checks in as outside linebacker for the Buckeyes.
Third and 9 for Michigan. This is Smith for Carter on his knees at the 26. Reception by Anthony Carter. First down for the Wolverines.
Well, it seemed like Michigan was going to pick on the freshman Byron Lee, 82, checks into the game, and they throw right into his zone. Anthony Carter finds a spot in that zone and just nestles the ball in. Anthony Carter takes a cut inside. Sean Gale passes him to the inside zone, and there's nobody there to pick him up. There you see Byron Lee a little late getting back for his cover.
6 catches, 61 yards for Carter on the day. First and 10, Michigan. Carter in motion. This is Ricks. Ricks slid to the outside for a pickup of about 4. Kelvin Bell ran him out of bounds.
Now Marcus Merrick having all kinds of trouble getting hooked up with Lawrence Ricks today. Ricks, a compact runner, 5'10", 195 pounds, Jack. There's not much of him to grab onto. There's the attendance, an all-time record in Ohio Stadium, 90,252. Now the addition of 3,000 or 4,000 new seats in the 82 season brings the record. Can't say that I'm all surprised.
Second down, 6. Michigan must reach the 16 for a first down. It's Ricks to the 18. Chris Ream wrapped his arms around the ankles of Ricks. Wolverines come up too short of a first down. Third down, and just over 2 yards to go for a first down. 5:50 left in the third quarter.
Lawrence Fritz was most of the offense for Michigan in the first half. He had 80 yards rushing in the first half and is added to that here in the first drive for Michigan this afternoon. He checks out of the ball game. Terry Smith checks in at tailback, number 23.
Smith still has the football, and he spins for a first down to the 13 of Ohio State.
What a powerful offensive play for Michigan, Jack, because Smith is such a good runner, and you put Anthony Carter as the trailing back coming in motion, and that really put pressure on that Ohio State defense to make a decision. Garcia Lane, number 12, and Doug Hill, 27, coming up to finish him off. Again, Michigan able to drive as a result of the Ohio State fumble by Mike Tomczak, which gave Michigan the ball on the short side of the 50.
5:04 to go, third quarter. First down, Wolverines. Rice, the fullback, plunges for 3 yards to the 10. Glenn Cobb and Marcus Merrick are underneath the stack for Ohio State. Rice, a 225-pound freshman wearing 36. Generally does blocking for the Wolverines, carries the football very seldom. 4.5 minutes to go now, third quarter. Second down, 7 from the 10. This is Ricks. He runs right up the back of some maize and blue blockers. Picked up about 4. Orlando Lowry in there for Ohio State. Chris Ream and Marcus Merrick were nearby. Third down. 3rd and 4 for Michigan. A very significant play in this football game coming up.
Michigan having a lot of trouble getting the play in. They're going to have to get to the line of scrimmage in a hurry, and they're going to be penalized for delay.
Two tight ends in there for the Wolverines. Smith to the 3.5-yard line. He is perhaps about a half a yard or a yard short of a first down. Hocevar made the tackle on Smith. Nice piece of help provided by Chris Ream.
Hocevar subbing at middle guard, number 68, does a good job of moving with the flow. Steve Smith is there, breaks off of his blocker and ends up making the tackle. Pretty good effort there. Bo Schembech are now with the decision, and they're going for it, folks. No field goal.
Wolverines up the line of scrimmage. Carter splits 12 yards to the left. Smith right up the gut. Touchdown. Steve Smith scores touchdown number 9, rushing the football this year. And the Wolverines draw to within 1, 14-13.
Steve Smith on the option play. All he does is follow his fullback up inside. Garcia Lane, number 12, makes the tackle, but cannot stop him before the ball breaks the plane of the goal line. And Haji Sheikh, number 6, will be in to try the extra point to tie it up.
Haji Sheikh, number 6, all-important extra point. It's good. He's now hit on 74 straight. And the Wolverines and the Buckeyes are even. 2:38 to go, third quarter. The Scarlet and Gray of Ohio State 14, the Maize and Blue of Michigan 14, as the Wolverines went 63 yards in 15 plays, using 7:03 on the clock. Smith to Carter, a big third down, 14-yard pickup during that drive.
The setup by Michigan this time, Jack, is nothing more than fake the ball to the fullback and then follow him into the line of scrimmage. It's not even a true option. Steve Smith, number 16. Boy, it looked very close, but the official right on top of it. Gives Michigan the touchdown. Jack, the first drive by Ohio State that ended in the fumble by Mike Tomczak when he was sacked in the backfield. Had they been able to continue that drive and possibly put a touchdown on the board, they really put Michigan in a sore spot, 21-7. But as a result of the fumble, Michigan capitalizes on the turnover and brings this ball game back to 0-0. And we're right where we started at 12:35 this afternoon on Saturday, 0-0.
You know, Jeff, this is the first time since 1971 that this game is being played for pride alone. Ever since then, it's been, of course, for the Big Ten championship. But I'll tell you, this is one of the most exciting Michigan-Ohio State games in that period of time.
Well, I think so, Jack. The coaches really are not buttoning down as they might in another Big Ten championship ball game. Michigan, of course, clinching the Big Ten championship a week ago with their victory over Purdue. And had the scheduling wonders not done what they had done to Ohio State, not allowing Ohio State to play Iowa this year. Ohio State with one loss in the Big Ten, but they will always have one fewer victory in the Big Ten because they don't have a chance to play Iowa.
Either one of these two teams has had a shot at the Rose Bowl, depending on the outcome of this game, since 1971.
Michigan already has that berth locked up this year in '82 by virtue of the pact between the Pac-10 and the Big Ten. They will represent the Big Ten in Pasadena on January 1. We've got some idea where we think Ohio State's going. We'll get to that later on in the game.
Spencer from the 1. He stepped back into the end zone. And he runs into one of his blockers. Manages to squirm forward to the 13-yard line. Paul Girgash was down there, so the Buckeyes will not have very good field position. 1st and 10 from their own 13 as Haji Sheik hung it up real high for Tim Spencer. And he could just return it 12 yards from the 1 to the 13. This is Vaughn Broadnax countering outside right tackle, and he picked up about 4. Robert Thompson, 99, the outside linebacker from the left, in there on the play for Michigan, help from Girgash. 2nd down, 6. 2 minutes, 7 seconds to go. 3rd quarter, Ohio State 14, Michigan 14. Two receivers far to the left, Anderson and Williams. Spencer jitterbugging up the middle of the 19 as the Wolverines defense, which has given up only 2 yards per carry against the rush this year, begins to stifle the Buckeye running attack.
Mike Tomczak stats, 5 out of 10 passing for 72 yards today. In the ball game for Michigan, number 14, freshman Tony Gant, who was the AAA back of the year last year in Ohio up at Fremont Ross High School and decided to go play for Michigan. He's lined up at free safety. He's replacing Evan Cooper, number 21, who went out with the injury.
3rd and 4. Buckeyes run it, and they come up 3 yards short of the 1st down. They don't make it, and will have to give it up to Michigan in the last minute here of the 3rd period. Now Sincic on the tackle for the Wolverines. Sincic and Caraway plugged up the hole. So the Buckeyes elected to run it on 3rd down. Now we'll have to punt it on 4th as Carter drops back inside his own 45.
I think this is where you have to be very careful with this punting game, because this is where Anthony Carter would love to receive that football and take it into the end zone.
Edwards, a high kick short against the wind. And it rolls laterally to the 49 or 8-yard line. So the Wolverines will get it in Buckeye territory. 1st and 10, just inside the Ohio State 49-yard line. 15 seconds left, 3rd quarter. Buckeyes 14, Wolverines 14.
28-yard kick that time, Jack, by Carl Edwards. His average has not been good today. And as a result of the short kick, Michigan is going to get the ball at the 49-yard line, short side of the field again. Everybody ready to play, but officials are going to ask him to go back into the huddle and spend a little time. There's Lawrence Ricks' stats today. 24 rushes, the real workhorse of that Michigan offense today, 103 yards. Coming into today's ball game, he was averaging 130.6 yards in the Big Ten. Good enough for first place. On the other hand, Tim Spencer from Ohio State was averaging 130 yards even. And in today's ball game, Spencer and Ricks have been very, very close in their total offense as far as rushing the ball is concerned. Spencer has had 113 yards and Lawrence Ricks 103 yards. So there's another battle going on today. Who's going to win that battle? Average points per game, Ohio State 27, Michigan 31. Jack, in preparing for this ball game, I'm sure you shared the same thoughts that I did. Statistically, these two...
Up. Now he'll run with it, and he's belted from behind. Foster jarred him from the rear. Curtis also nailed him. Third down coming up for the Wolverines. Very close to a first down.
Steve Smith this time trying to put the ball in the air, but again, folks, his real threat is being able to tuck it underneath and run. Kurt Curtis, number 11, trying to contain him, does a good job, and Jerome Foster from behind puts the final hit on, and they're going to bring it out for a measurement. It's that close. You see they're going to be about 6 or 8 inches short. Anthony Carter, the co-captain on offense, number 1, checking it out for the maize and blue and goes back to the huddle. That'll be a big stand right here. Michigan has been very successful on third down efficiency this afternoon. They've been able to convert 10 out of 12 times on third down, Jack. This is number 13 coming up.
We've played just 15 seconds of the fourth quarter. Wolverines football at the OSU 39. Third and inches for Michigan. Smith behind his fullback, Rice, dives for the first down at the Ohio State 38.
Well, that's the same play that Steve Smith scored the touchdown on, Jack, just following his fullback Dan Rice up through the middle. Rice, a 225-pound freshman, vacates a large area if he can make it through there.
First and 10 for the Wolverines. Tom Dixon will be over the ball at center. Smith, the QB. This is Ricks. Marcus Merrick meets him. Orlando Lowry was there. Ricks does not lose yardage too often. I think he lost just 2 yards on the ground all year coming into the game. That play lost maybe a foot.
Well, Marcus Merrick, 36, making up for a couple of missed arm tackles early on where he overran the play. A lot of time that emotion can carry you right past the play. Good timing there by Merrick, and he's asking the fans to get pumped up.
Big play. Let's see if the Wolverines go to the air. This is Smith trying to hook up with Carter. Broken up by Marcus Merrick. The pass was a little bit behind Carter, but Merrick had him covered like a blanket.
Well, Marcus Merrick is pumped up and ready to play football. It appeared to me that Anthony Carter may have interfered with Marcus Merrick, who was right on line for the interception. Poorly thrown ball. And it looked like Carter had a hand on Merrick, but the officials say no. And it's going to be 3rd and 10 for Michigan. 11 out of 13 on third down so far this game for Michigan.
The Wolverines must reach the Ohio State 28-yard line. Smith for Carter. A little too far. He got his fingertips on it. Doug Hill covered. 4th down coming up for Michigan.
And Ohio State's got an injured player. Jerome Foster, 55. We'll get back to it in a second. Carter driving hard to the inside, heading for the corner. Now watch how he lays himself out right on the fingertips. Actually, in Anthony Carter standards, that ball should have been caught. Jerome Foster, the injured Buckeye, rushing the quarterback that time. Buckeyes can ill afford to lose Jerome. He's played one great football game here. If Michigan punts here, which is imminent, it'll be the first time that Michigan has punted today. Don Bracken, the Michigan kicker, averaging 39 yards a kick, and Garcia Lane, number 12, averaging 10 yards a punt return. Jerome Foster coming off under his own power. Looks like he may have injured the right leg, right knee, or right ankle.
Clock is stopped. 13 minutes, 23 seconds to go in the contest. Ohio State 14, Michigan 14, as the fans look on anxiously. It's a squeaker going right down to the wire. You know, Jeff, I think that Anthony Carter would probably agree with you. He's got great hands, great speed, and tremendous concentration. Another one of his characteristics as a pass receiver.
Well, you can't criticize Anthony Carter for dropping that football, Jack, but I've seen Anthony Carter catch ones that have been much more difficult than that one. There you see Garcia Lane, 10 yards average in returning kicks this year. 1 touchdown, which came against the alma mater of Jack Kramer, Indiana Hoosiers. Speaking of which, there's Jack Kramer, standing right above the TV 34 booth.
Bracken inside his 50. May try to punch this one out in the corner. He's kicking against the wind, which is blowing out of the south. And he sends it to the near sideline, out of bounds around the 10. It's marked out at the 9. And with 13 minutes and 17 seconds left in the 4th quarter, the Buckeyes regain possession, 1st and 10 at their own 9-yard line.
Well, Don Bracken, number 28 for Michigan, punting that time, certainly kicking for the coffin corner. Anytime you can get it inside the 20, it's been successful. The Buckeyes will have to start this drive from the 9. 13 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the ball game. There you see the brain trust of the Ohio State offensive attack again. Glenn Mason is on the left. Earl Bruce, of course, on the right. And in the white jacket is Wayne Stanley, the running back coach for Ohio State. I would say that guy deserves a lot of credit for developing the talent at Ohio State. He's been Tim Spencer's coach all along. Wayne Stanley working very hard. Spencer, that is his halftime stats, folks. Those are not up to date. 88 yards rushing in the first half. He has 113 yards rushing in today's ball game. Co-captain Paul Kirkash, number 50. Jack, another Ohio transplant to Ann Arbor. Played his high school football up in Lakewood, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. Boren, the other linebacker from Columbus Eastmore. Here we go.
From the 9, Williams tight on the left. This is Spencer. He's being run down back at the 5-yard line as Keith Bostic buries him for a loss of 4.
Now Bostic, number 13, is by far the best defensive back for Michigan. Leads in interceptions, the number 4 tackler on the team. He comes all the way from his rover back position to cut Tim Spencer down. Tim trying to use that great speed that he has to clear the corner, and Keith Bostic just has the angle on him. Drives him to the turf. Loss of about 3.
Jimmy Gale has checked in for Tim Spencer, who left with a slight limp.
Ohio State almost forced to put it up in the air, Jack, and this is not the area of the field you want to do so.
Tomczak out of his own end zone. Man wide open. John Frank. First down. Frank to the 27-yard line. Marion Body on the tackle. It was almost as if the Wolverines forgot Frank was on the field.
Couldn't agree with you more, Jack. John Frank found himself wide open, more open than he's been all year. They're in a blitz. Bostic, number 13, the cornerback, is blitzing, and that's what leaves John Frank so wide open because the linebacker, number 99, Robert Thompson, forgot his responsibility, and Marion Body, number 3, along with Tony Gant, forced to make the tackle.
Wolverines are giving up 270 yards per game against the pass. And the Buckeyes got themselves out of a hole going to the air on that one. This is Gale. Penetration by 2 or 3 maize and blue people from Michigan. Winfred Caraway led the charge. And again, the Buckeyes will have second down and more than 10 following the loss. Second down and 13.
Boy, that's like just running into a stone wall, Jack, because if Michigan pursues so well, if you run to the short side of the field, you have such a limited area to run. Ohio State 2 times now on first down, coming up very much unsuccessful. That time another loss of 3. That puts special pressure on your offense when you can't gain yardage on first down.
Cedric Anderson slot on the right. Tomczak for Williams. He's free. Gary Williams ran a very disciplined pass route into the seam of the Michigan secondary. Girgash on the tackle. First down, Ohio State.
Well, I think that's an example of how confident Earl Bruce has become in his passing game, because this is not an area that you want to throw the ball up. Mike Tomczak gets good protection and delivers the strike to Gary Williams on a curl. And look at the pursuit of Michigan. Girgash and Tony Gant. Isolation on Williams. You're going to see him drive his man deep, turn in, wait for the ball. It's well on its way, and it's a great reception. Good timing by quarterback and receiver.
This is Von Brodnax. He fumbles. Tomczak alertly falls on the football. Heads up play by Mike Tomczak.
Well, this is certainly not the kind of ball that Earl Bruce wants to see his Buckeyes play on first down. Dodging a bullet there is Von Brodnax, number 38. The second fumble of the day, both being recovered by Ohio State. Tim Spencer checks back out of the ball game, and Jimmy Gale is in.
Second down, 10 yards to go. 10 minutes, 26 seconds to go in the ball game. Tomczak aiming for Williams. Reception, fumble recovery by Michigan. Keith Bostic recovers. Buckeyes don't like it. They think the pass should have been ruled incomplete.
Jack, I disagree with the fans. That ball was completed to Gary Williams, but Gary Williams took an incredible shot by the Michigan defensive secondary, leaps high for the ball and just leaves his body at the mercy. Girgash, Boren, number 40, delivering the blow, and let's see if we can see it on isolation. Make sure Gary Williams did have control of the football. Finds an open area, goes up high for the ball. It's caught there, put away, and then he's hit by Boren, number 40. Michigan has the ball.
This is Ricks. Kurt Curtis wrestles him down just across the line of scrimmage. 10 minutes left in the ball game. Buckeyes 14, Wolverines 14. Marcus Merrick applied the tackle on the last play.
Well, Ohio State having the turnover problems that Michigan had in the first half, Jack. Michigan's been mistake-free here in the second half of play.
Of course, you can credit the good hit by Michigan for that turnover.
That's right.
Down and out to the left. Carter, it's wide and short at the 50. May have been tipped. Sean Gale was in the area of that pass. Clock stops at 9:31. Ohio State 14, Michigan 14, fourth quarter. Third down and 8 for the Wolverines. Anthony checks in for Curtis as the Buckeyes will employ 5 deep backs. 5 secondary people in there now on third down 8. Scrimmage. The flags fly. 5 yards against the Wolverines.
Well, Everybody seemed to move except the center and the quarterback. Procedure call going against Michigan. That'll bring up 3rd down and 13. Watch the top of your screen. You're going to see movement up above. The entire line moves. The center's the one that forgot the signal. Tom Dixon, 69. You talk about marching to the beat of a different drummer.
Wolverines have only been penalized 40 times this year. That's a pretty good statistic for game number 11. 3rd and 13. Smith aiming. He finds his man, but he's upended immediately. Rice caught the football, but Garcia Lane upset the apple cart at the 39. In fact, Lane may be shaken up.
Well, Dan Rice is getting an incredible welcome to Ohio Stadium. Garcia Lane, at 174 pounds, trying to bring down Rice at 225. Obviously a mismatch. And the training staff out there right away, the thing that they're concerned about would be a head or neck injury. Rice from fullback position has the ball delivered to him. Now watch how quickly Garcia Lane is on top of Rice. Let's see the hit. Right on top of the head, into the thigh, and Garcia Lane is still down, folks. Now, the most susceptible injury in football, I would have to say, Jack, is not the knee, but it is the head or the neck, and that's what they're so very concerned about right now.
Garcia Lane, a 5'10", 174-pound junior from Youngstown. Started all 12 games a year ago for the Bucks, and he's been a big cog in that secondary this year.
Turn around. Oh, Brutus, stay put.
There you see Brutus. His shirt that Brutus had on, I think, very descriptive.
Of course, Garcia normally receives punts, and we've got a punting situation coming up here for the Wolverines. It will be very interesting to see who the Buckeyes have back there. Maybe Cedric Anderson.
Cedric Anderson, number 22, is the backup punt returner for the Buckeyes. But, Jack, if you're not doing it all year in game situations, one of the toughest things is have to come into the Michigan game and have to do it for the first time in a year. There you see the Ohio State band emulating the favorite video game Pac-Man. Garcia Lane still down on the field, and folks, that is not a good sign, as the impact was directly on the head and the neck. Garcia Lane coming up, and they're going to keep that head and neck very, very solid. Boy, what a great hit, though, by Garcia Lane in a big play for the Buckeyes. It is Cedric Anderson going deep to receive the punt for the Buckeyes.
Anderson back at his 25 as Bracken will punt for Michigan against the wind. Buckeyes have 10 men up on the line of scrimmage. Bracken gets the kick away easily. Cedric Anderson is hit as he catches it at the 30-yard line. Cedric did a fine job catching and holding on to that football. 31-yard punt. Keith Bostic, Paul Giergash were down there for the Wolverines. And Ohio State has pretty good field position. Jeff, I can think back to last year. It was just about this time last year to the second when Ohio State started a march of 80 yards for the winning touchdown.
Remember that winning touchdown by Art Schleister, the 6-yard run around right end. There you see Mike Tomczak, the apparent new Art Schleister, and his stats on the day. Gone over the 100-yard mark. Again, Jack, 8 of 13. He's been very, very accurate again today. Coming into the ball game, I think Earl Bruce, in his game plan, would have liked to have thrown the ball some 25 times against this Michigan defense. By the time the day's over, if Ohio State maintains the drive here, that stat might be very close. The Ohio State band playing their favorite rendition of Hang On Sloopy. And the 90,000 fans here today are enjoying football in Ohio Stadium.
The scoreboard tells the tale. 9:12 left. It's a 14-14 standoff. The Buckeyes, an unranked team in the country, but I'll guarantee you they're a lot better football team than that. Buckeye fans hoping for the best. Ohio State possession, first and 10, 30-yard line. Tom Zach aiming for Williams. A great reception by Gary Williams at the 49-yard line. Burguy on the coverage.
Michigan had a blitz on Jack. Look at the top of the screen. You get two blitzes. And Ohio State's Tim Spencer does a great job of picking it up. Look at Gary Williams' concentration. Scoops the ball, pulls it up underneath. And if nothing else, blocked it from the officials so he didn't have a chance to make a call any other way. I think he caught it, though.
Anderson, slot right. Tom Zach gave it to Spencer. He tries to get outside. He does manage to squirm forward for about 3. Kevin Brooks from the tackle as Spencer picked up, let's see where they spot it. 49-yard line of Michigan.
Jack, if there's been a real thorn in the side of the Michigan defense this year, it's been the forward pass. They're ranked about near last in Division 1A of college football. I think they're 92nd out of 95 teams in defending the pass.
Second down, a long 6 for Ohio State. Williams was in motion. Tom Zach's going to throw one. He's aiming downfield long. Incomplete. Williams was covered by Jerry Burguy, number 15.
Well, Gary Williams had trouble keeping that shoe on all day. That's 4 or 5 times he's lost a wheel. Mike Tomczak underthrowing the ball a little bit. Gary Williams trying to run under the fly, and Burguy, number 15, goes up to battle with Gary, and Gary nearly gets the best of this. Look at Gary's height, nearly catching the football, had his hands on it first. Jack, I'm a little bit surprised at this point that Ohio State has not gone to the post, the middle of the field, because you've got the freshman, Tony Gant, number 14, in for Michigan. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start picking on Gant.
Third down, Buckeyes must reach the 41. Tom Zach dumps it short, incomplete. He was intending that pass for Spencer, but it was at Tim's feet, and he couldn't grab onto it. Tom Zach hurriedly got rid of it, and the Buckeyes appear to be getting ready to punt the football. 7:58 to go, fourth quarter.
Jack, with 7:58 to go, Ohio State with a good punt ought to be able to put Michigan back in horrible field position, but that man Anthony Carter waiting for Carl Edwards' kick. I'd like to change that.
Edwards inside his 40. Hand over end. Carter out of bounds at the 15. So the Wolverines will be backed up at their own 15. 7:52 left in the game. Buckeyes 14, Wolverines 14. 37-yard kick for Edwards, about his best of the day. Wolverines up to the line. Rice and Ricks behind the quarterback, Smith. And Smith gonna pitch one. And it's way off the mark, intended for Carter at the 25-yard line. And after a few completions early, Smith's game has gone downhill ever since.
Oh, it really has, Jack. He had a big third quarter, but here in the fourth quarter, he's not been real successful in getting the ball to any of his receivers. That time, trying to go to Anthony Carter and being unsuccessful at doing such.
Doyle Lewis is now in there for the Buckeyes. Lewis, Gale, Bell, and Hill are in the secondary. Second down, 10. Smith on a pitch to Carter. He fumbles. Ohio State recovers. Doug Hill.
Oh, what an defensive play by the Buckeyes. Roland Tatum, number 32, right in the middle of things, and Doug Hill, number 27, coming up with the play of the year for the Buckeyes. Oh, my golly. Turnover number 5. This play looked like it was developing to be a good one for the University of Michigan, but Ohio State, with great coverage, able to come up. There's the initial shot. Roland Tatum and Doug Hill causing the fumble, and Doug Hill comes up with the fumble recovery. Isolation on Anthony Carter. Look what he's going through, folks. Catches the pitch, only weighs 156 pounds. Doyle Lewis first. Kelvin Bell and Roland Tatum make an Anthony Carter sandwich, and it's Buckeye football.
Fumble recovery number 3 for Doug Hill this year. That was a big one. Let's see if the Buckeyes can cash in. Tim Spencer, gaping hole. Tim Spencer to the 7-yard line.
Tim Spencer right up the middle, going behind the excellent blocking of Joe Lucan's 72. And he gets inside the 6-yard line, or 7-yard line. Jack, 5 turnovers for the University of Michigan today. 4 in the first half, 1 in the second half.
They haven't had more than 3 in any one game all year.
They haven't played the Ohio State Buckeyes yet either.
2nd down and 2. Myers in motion. This is Broadnax. Going Broadnax all the way down to the 1-yard line. First down, Ohio State. 1st and goal for the Buckeyes.
Ray Myers, 29, in motion. He's just another guard. He ends up blocking Brad Welly, but it doesn't make any difference because Vaughn Broadnax, number 38, like a runaway locomotive, all the way inside the 1. Boy, you turn that man loose, and it's going to take the AAA to slow him down.
First and goal. Spencer over. Tim Spencer might not have won the NCAA diving championship on that one, but he got the football into the end zone.
How about the high jump? Watch Tim Spencer, 46, catapults himself right over top of the Michigan defense. Right on his head, touchdown Buckeyes. Oh, what a great shot we're going to get here. Tim Spencer leaping up and over. Oh, boy. Timmy Spencer puts the Buckeyes up 20-14. And it all goes back to turnovers. Ohio State capitalizing on 5 Michigan turnovers, and they lead it 20-14.
Rich Spangler, 35 for 37 on the year on extra points. It is good. Spangler, number 10, converts. 6:27 to go, 4th quarter. Buckeyes 21, Wolverines 14.
Jack, did you think there'd be this much scoring in this football game going in?
No, I didn't, Jeff. I knew that the teams had the capability to score this many as we look at Spencer's touchdown again.
Watch him go up over top, choosing the airborne way instead of going through all the mess. Tim Spencer, somersaulting for the score. Offensively, both teams very explosive all year. Ohio State averaging 31 points a game, or 27. Michigan averaging 31. But realistically, the last 7 or 8 years of this football game, it's been no more than a difference of, say, 5 or 6 points in every game. And all the scoring, the average points in the football game for both teams combined is somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 points combined. Right. Already we've seen 35 points in today's football game by virtue of 5 touchdowns and 5 extra points.
First time since 1975 we've had that many points scored in this rivalry. Buckeyes won that year 21-14 by the same count we have now.
Jack, we talk about the importance of field position in the ball game, and what has given both teams field position for all of their scoring opportunities has been the turnovers. Add up the turnovers, the field position, and that, in very simple math, equals points. And I know that you were a great student of simple math, right, Jack?
Of course, another intangible quality that we knew would have some impact on this game is how the electricity in the air and this intense rivalry would affect the quarterback, Smith and Tom Zach, and Tom Zach's had the better of it.
I really believe that, Jack. I had a chance to go to the Ohio State pep rally last night on the campus and was invited to address the students. And on the podium, had a chance to talk a little bit with Mike Tomczak last night. And Mike just has the appearance and has the composure of a guy that's been playing this game for many more years than he has. I believe in Mike Tomczak, have from the very beginning. And Steve Smith, in his junior season, still has the composure in my eyes of a freshman quarterback. Let's not forget, with 6 minutes and 27 seconds to go in the ball game, that this thing is not over yet, Jack. There's a lot of football to be played, especially when number 1 Anthony Carter is still in the football game, as he is to return this kick.
Rich Spangler prepares to kick off. Anthony Carter wants the football. Oh, and he's thrown down across the 20-yard line. Roland Tatum just yanked him to the turf as Carter brought it back some 25 yards from 3 yards deep in his end zone.
Well, Anthony Carter deciding that he's not going to do any good downing it, takes it out, and watch the old hook put on by Roland Tatum. He just drives him to the turf. Gary Williams down there also. What a game Roland Tatum has played. Caused a fumble, intercepted a football.
Steve Smith over the middle, picked off. Marcus Merrick to the 19-yard line. Interception on the year, number 3 for Marcus Merrick.
Well, Steve Smith, number 16, deciding to try and get it all back at once. Throws a pass that was intended, in all my eyes, for Marcus Merrick. There's no way that pass was intended for a Michigan receiver. I can't believe it. It was nowhere near a maize and blue. Steve Smith to Marcus Merrick, 36. Not even close, going to Vince Bean, number 25. And Marcus Merrick doing his imitation of Vaughn Broadnax now. I'd say that's pretty good running by a linebacker. Ohio State will take the ball, 1st and 10 at the 19. Holy smokes, 6 turnovers against Michigan today. Steve Smith attributable for 5 of them.
Vaughn Broadnax crawls forward for about 2. Jerry Burguy wrapped on to Broadnax's knees. 2nd down, 8 yards to go. Ohio State football just inside the Michigan 18. 5 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the 4th quarter.
Well, no time to get real conservative as far as Ohio State is concerned. 7 points is not nearly enough to really sit down and believe that you've beaten Michigan. They need to get a score on the board here.
Flag on the play. Spencer puts his head down. Manages a couple.
It's going to be illegal procedure against the Buckeyes.
Winford Caraway, 63 on his fanny on the turf.
Bo Schembecker across the way, waving on to his troops to take the penalty. Here's the call. Motion against the offense. And they'll mark off 5 yards against the Buckeyes, which would bring up 2nd down and 13. Look at the turnover picture today. Ohio State losing this battle, but that's the one that you want to lose, Jack. 2 turnovers today for the Buckeyes. One a fumble by Mike Tomczak and one a fumble by Gary Williams after catching a miraculous ball.
13, that's Michigan.
Michigan with 2 interceptions and 4 fumbles.
2 minutes, or I should say 5 minutes, 18 seconds to go in the game. Second down, Ohio State, 13 yards to go. 2 tight ends are in there for the Bucks. Tomczak after a fake to Broadnax. Wide open is Tim Spencer. And he extends himself down to the 15-yard line.
What a great job by Mike Tomczak, Jack, because he had great pressure. Michigan in a blitz again against Ohio State. Mike Tomczak again with the composure of a very, very mature quarterback. Bostic, number 13, right in Tomczak's face, and Tim Spencer trying to put the move on Marion Body, cannot come up with it, and Ohio State will have 3rd down and 6. They need to get inside the 9-yard line for the first down. Good time to go to your tight end, John Frank. Let's see if they do it.
2 tight ends, Williams in motion. They're going to run it to the middle of the field. It's Spencer. And the Wolverines string the play out, and Spencer is thrown down at the 16. No gain. And Spangler will be called on to kick one from the near hash mark.
Jack, I'm surprised Ohio State was not in the I formation that time. Tim Spencer, you've got to allow him more time to look for a hole than when he's lined up 4 yards deep in the split backs. I'd rather see Tim Spencer get the ball very deep. Now Rich Spangler will be trying this one from the 23-yard line. He'll make a 33-yard effort. Spangler 6 out of 15. In the last 4 or 5 weeks, Jack, he has not been good.
He's only 1 for 4 in the 30 to 40 range.
Well, he's got the wind behind him, and this should be a makeable field goal.
Good snap. Kick for Spangler. It is good. Rich Spangler adds 3 more points to the scoreboard for Ohio State. And the Buckeye fans give each other the high five.
Well, you don't think freshmen can play this game? Rich Spangler a year ago was kicking balls in high school. Look at Earl Bruce. You don't think he's pumped up? He's got his defense ready to play football. Spangler with the 33-yard field goal makes it 24-14. The Buckeyes lead by 10 and force Michigan to score twice in 3 minutes and 27 seconds to go.
Well, Rich Spangler now 7 for 16 on the year in field goals.
Well, let's let Rich Spangler tell you whether or not that field goal was good. Didn't take much time. Look at that. That's one happy guy. I remember back a few weeks ago with a kick against Illinois. Won the football game against the Fighting Illini, and Spangler in to kick again. And Jack, he will try and make this a beer can kickoff. Non-returnable.
Anthony Carter will have other ideas, of course.
Of course, Michigan has that new law that every can is returnable, so you can
3 minutes, 27 seconds to go, 4th quarter. Ohio State 24, Michigan 14.
I guess we better not get into legislative discussions today.
Anthony Carter, 6 yards deep, will not bring it back.
No, Jack, that's one play defensively for Ohio State that's been very good because they have not allowed Anthony Carter really to run back a kick or a punt all day. Well, 3 minutes and 27 seconds to go. OSU leading by 10 points. They are forcing Michigan to go into the air, and Jack, that's an area that they are not very good at, frankly.
Anthony Carter, he scored 8 touchdowns catching the football this year. Smith is looking, throws short for Ricks. Tatum and 2 other Buckeyes put a lick on him at the 26-yard line. Tatum, Cobb, and Nelms.
Now clock now ticking down, under 3 minutes to go in the ball game. Jack, it's this any indication as to what this game's going to end up? That's the Michigan band going home. And it's none too soon for anybody that's cheering for the Buckeyes today.
Carter split far to the left. He's averaging 23 yards per catch. Ricks, no good.
What Michigan trying to do there, they're sending a lot of their receivers deep, taking the Ohio State defensive backfield deep, and then having a running back circle underneath the coverage and be able to pick up the first down. Bo Schembech, we're not trying to get 80 yards in one pop. What he'll be trying to do here, though, Jack, is to get the 5 or 6 yards for the first down to continue the drive. I would doubt very seriously whether you'll see him go deep with the bomb to Carter. Ricks out of the ball game. Kerry Smith checks in.
A tip pass incomplete. And the Buckeyes hold. So the Wolverines come up empty on 3 plays and will have to punt the football. And Earl Bruce is breaking a smile on the sideline.
Well, Jack, as long as there's a few kicks left on that clock, you can't count Michigan out. They are that explosive of a football team, and Don Bracken in to try punt number 2 on the day. One kick went 30 yards. Cedric Anderson still back to return. Garcia Lane not yet returning to the ball game.
Beautiful kick by Bracken. Anderson runs away from this one. The ball splattered on the turf at the 30. And Ohio State will have it 1st and 10 at the 26 with 2 minutes, 27 seconds left in the 4th quarter. A 48-yard kick with the roll by Bracken. Buckeyes 24, Wolverines 14.
Jack, we talked earlier in this second half about the fact that this Michigan team, regardless of what happens today, will be representing the Big Ten at the Rose Bowl due to a scheduling screw-up. If Ohio State does win, as it appears they will, and all indications that we have, and folks, it's only conjecture at this point, is that Ohio State will be making a trip to San Diego, California to play in the Holiday Bowl on December 17th, probably against Brigham Young. You talk about facing passing teams. Brigham Young has been famous for putting the ball in the air. Jim McMahon, a record-setting quarterback at Brigham Young for the past 4 years prior to this one, now in the NFL, but he's left his mark on Brigham Young. They still put the ball in the air quite often. But we'll get back to the business at hand, and that's trying to close out this one on this Saturday afternoon against the University of Michigan. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care whether this game's played for the Big Ten championship or not. It's still the greatest rivalry in college football, bar none, including Nebraska-Oklahoma. And USC-UCLA. This is where it's all about. This is college football at its best.
The Buckeyes won their first 2 this year, dropped their next 3. Of course, they were just a fumble plus an interception away from winning 2 of those 3 games. This is Spencer, and he stretches out for about 2 or 3 yards. And now the Buckeyes have Michigan behind the 8 ball. The Buckeyes with a 10-point lead and 2 minutes and 14 seconds to go in the game. A 10-point advantage on the Wolverines, who have been ranked just outside the top 10 in the country the last few years as Scott Zelensky leaves the game.
There's the band. They're believers in Ohio State. Woody Hayes last night at a gathering, Jack, predicted Ohio State would win by 10. The old guy is still pretty sharp, I would say.
Yeah, I said they'd win it by 10 points just a few seconds ago.
No, I'm not going to.
This is Broadnax. Broadnax to about the 34-yard line. Mike Boren on the tackle.
Well, if this thing continues with 1 minute and 30 seconds now to go in the ball game, Michigan still 3 timeouts unofficially. Bo looking at the clock. He's trying to decide right now whether to call timeout or not. Look at the clock and thinking, well, You saw him motion like, should I call timeout or not? And he's going to let it wind down. It's going under 1:20. Be foolish to call one now because you've already wasted over 20 seconds on the clock. Ohio State, a first down here, Jack, and you can turn out the lights because the party will definitely be over.
3rd down and 2. Broadnax, he's met at the 34 or 5-yard line. Timeout, Michigan. Girgash landed the blow to Broadnax. Kevin Brooks was there. Jerry Buckeyes signaled for the timeout. Clock stops at 57 seconds. Buckeyes have really been a very unnoticed team the last month and a half, Jeff. They lead it by 10, as the scoreboard tells us, 24-14, and are certainly right now, as of this day, one of the 10 best teams in the country.
Jack, I believe that seriously. The last 5 or 6 weeks of Ohio State football, they have played ball as well, if not better, than anybody else in the country. Ohio State's going to be forced to kick, coming up 4th and 2. Jack, the one thing Earl Bruce is telling his forces, when you go on the field here with 57 seconds left to go in the game, the only way Michigan can get in the ball game is 2 things. If they block a kick, or you allow Anthony Carter to run one back. If they don't do that, they're going to win this football game going away. So they're going to block like crazy up front and try and get the coverage on Anthony Carter, or try and kick the ball out of bounds to the right to not even allow Anthony Carter a chance to touch the ball.
Buckeyes came into this game averaging 4 yards per play this year through 10 games. Good for number 4 in the country. Did I say 4 yards per play? I mean 6. Number 4 in the country. Certainly one of the outstanding offensive teams in the nation. And they've displayed that kind of offense today. Wolverines are coming. They'll be attempting to block this boot by Edwards. 57 ticks left on the clock. Edwards gets it off comfortably. Carter fumble at the 28-yard line. At the 28, the Wolverines will have it 1st and 10. But they wanted to be able to take advantage of Anthony Carter's excellent all-purpose running. But Carter muffed the kick by Edwards, and they got no return.
Well, there's the Ohio State sidelines.
Steve Smith is batted down. The Buckeyes don't quit. Jerome Foster swatted that football to the turf. The Buckeyes are going to play this game right down to the final second.
Hey, what else Earl Bruce has done? Number 90, Don Braun, a senior who has not played for Ohio State, is in the game right now. I think that's great. He's in the ball game, getting a chance to play in the last game that he'll be playing in Ohio Stadium. There are 23 seniors, folks, who will not play again for the Buckeyes in this stadium. Best wishes to all of them. What a great way to go out.
This is Smith throwing short. It is dropped.
Well, Michigan doing all they can not to win the football game now, and Don Braun, number 90, in there delivering a blow to quarterback Steve Smith. Well, Earl, I'm sure, trying to get all the seniors in at this point to play this game. Don Braun coming out of the game now for Ohio State. As the 5th defensive back goes in, Doyle Lewis, number 23, and Tom Anthony become the 4th and 5th.
Smith looking. He was hit as he threw the football. Carter is on the receiving end. 46-yard line. 1st down, Michigan. Sean Gale on the tackle. 35 seconds to go.
Timeout. Michigan wanting a timeout to stop the clock. Steve Smith, number 16, setting up. Ohio State allowing the underneath pass, certainly here, giving them the 15 and 20-yarders, but nothing deeper. In a 3 deep, you can see that Ohio State will give them that one, but nothing deeper than that. Sean Gale, number 2, right on top of Anthony Carter. There's the story, folks. Insurmountable at this point, down 10 with 35 seconds to go. Ohio State avoiding the unforeseen will end up the year 8-3. Michigan will end up the year 8-3 also. Big Ten records, Michigan will be 8-1. Ohio State will be 7-1. But again, since Ohio State played one less conference game, this game does not mean, will not allow Ohio State to go to the Rose Bowl. John Frank and William Roberts, two very important players in today's ball game.
Boy, Earl Bruce has played 4 hands of cards versus Bo Schembechler. And Earl is 3-1 against Bo. Smith. King Harris in the backfield gets the ball away. And the Buckeyes, Sean Gale, really puts a belt on Dan Rice, the pass receiver.
Well, that's twice Dan Rice